Welcome into the very first day. We are here as the city reopens. Welcome to the first time that we stream on Zoom. I haven't seen my friend Brett Norsworthy, who is locked up in the avenues of Americas in Forest City. I haven't seen him in forever, but I see him right now on the Zoom. Good to see you. Now I'm waving back. There's Drew. Although I can see him through the glass, now I can see him on the Zoom. He's the young-looking guy. That's just in case you weren't sure. We are all set up. It is the first day that we are trying to reopen the city, so that is a very promising thing. There are some promising numbers we will get to in a little bit. We've got a very busy show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit. We love in the 3:30 slot that we keep up with sort of what is going on with the pandemic. It's a newsy thing. We're going to continue to do that for a bit longer until at least we know we have a whole lot of sports back. We think it's important to keep you informed. Today from the Bank of Bartlett, a bank that has been very, very busy with PPP money. That's the government stimulus money for forgivable loans. And we'll be joined by Harold Bird and an associate there. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. That'll be at 3:30. David Cobb at 4. At 4:30, Jeff Crane, the assistant athletic director at the U of M. We will chat with him. They've got all kinds of season ticket options for football. I'm sure that'll be a part of what we talk about today. At 4:45 or so, Chip Namias, who is a Memphian, who was maybe one of the youngest PR directors in the history of the National Football League. When he was 26 years old, Chip was the PR director for the Miami Dolphins. He was actually there earlier in Fort Lauderdale with the Strikers, owned by the same family at that time that owned the Dolphins, and he was moved over at an early age. And he worked with Don Shula, and that is the story of the day, the passing of Don Shula. We'll get into that in a second. Pete Pranica at 5. Crunch time at 5:50. As always on this program, we are busy. The winningest football coach in the history of the National Football League, Don Shula, who had a fantastic life. I've always marveled at, one, his strength, and two, it seemed like the warmth. For, most guys that are big, tough, kind of mean football coaches, they don't have this sunny, warm side, and I always saw that sunny, warm side out of Don Shula. 347 wins, 5 Super Bowls that he was in, 2 that he was champion in. That's that 72 team that's perfect, the only perfect NFL team, Super Bowl champions in Super Bowl 7. Quite a story, quite a life, and stats. I don't know if you ever had a relationship with him. I know you'd been around him several times. But there's 3 guys that I always think about. There's no question, even though they may have coached other places, there's 3 guys that are absolutely known as the coach of that franchise. And now that will be Papa Bear, founder of the NFL, and then Don Shula with the Miami Dolphins, even though he started with the Baltimore Colts when he was like 33 or 34 years old, incredibly young. And then there will be Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots because of all the championships that he has led that team to. Would you agree? Those are the 3 that you think of that franchise when you think of that guy, and Shula is probably the second one because Papa Bear would have been first.
Well, I think Lombardi with the Packers.
Well, you do. You're right. There's 4. So there is, as you like to say, there's your Mount Rushmore.
And Bill Walsh with the 49ers.
I think of Bill Walsh mainly with them. Yeah, and he was a Stanford coach too, and but those guys, you're right. You could probably add him, but
Don Shula, no relationship. I did meet him on a couple of occasions, and was around him some during, as he always called him, Mikey's years at Alabama. Mike Shula, when he was the head coach there, thrust on the scene about this time of year, in fact, in 2003, after Mike Price's wild weekend. And Mike Shula was almost doomed before he ever started at Alabama for a lot of reasons. Getting hired in May is one of them, and too young was another one. I was around Don Shula some, and very nice, affable man. You're right, great life, 90 years for sure. And he leaves a legacy. That 17-0 team, it had some close calls. It had close calls in the playoffs that year, and Drew, one of those things that we used to not always get everything right. They opened in the playoffs that year, so they're 14-0 and headed into the playoffs. Well, that would be the number one seed in home field advantage all the way through now. But of course, we didn't do the playoffs like that then. It would rotate year to year on who would host AFC and NFC championship games. So they beat Cleveland in the first weekend of the playoffs. That was on December 24th, 1972, the day after the Immaculate Reception with Franco Harris and defeating the Raiders. So the next week, 15-0, you would think would be the home field. No, they have to go on the road to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers the week after they have the improbable upset over the Raiders. And it was narrow. It was a close game, and then narrowly defeated the Redskins, who defeated Washington in the Super Bowl at the Coliseum. After really dominating most of the day, it got a little loose at the end with Garo Yepremian. A lot of people say pass. Rick Harrow said pass last week. Now, I didn't want to be this big a wise guy with Rick because that's his team, and I know he loves them. But it did not go down as a pass. It went down as a fumble.
Yeah.
It was no pass attempt to it, But Gary Yepremian, he tries to become a passer, and he fumbles it, and they return it.
Oh, he was definitely
trying to make it a 14-7 game.
He was trying to pass the ball.
He was trying to pass,
and it just slipped out of his hands because
he was too bad to grasp it.
Well, he was known for his feet, not his hands. That is a fact.
He was known for his foot,
Yeah.
one foot, and the Dolphins were able to hang on and win that and complete 17-0. And we've had, there was a great 49er team that went something and won. Of course, New England in the 07 season and 18-0 until Super Bowl Sunday, and unlikely upset that day to Eli Manning and the Giants 17-14 to end that. They would have gone down as the great team if by nothing else 19 trumps 17, and they were more dominant on offense. That Dolphins team that year, it was paltry numbers from Bob Greasy and Earl Morrall for a lot of the year after Greasy got hurt. They were really a ground and pound team. Had Paul Warfield, had Howard Twilley, but they didn't like flinging it around a whole lot. But one of the real many legacies of Don Shula is to get to a Super Bowl with as many different quarterbacks as he did, with Baltimore with Unitas Morrall, with the Dolphins with Greasy Morrall, with the Dolphins also with David Woodley, and with the Dolphins to get there with Dan Marino.
Yeah. The other team that came close to the 19-0 would have been the 85 Bears, and it was the Dolphins as huge underdogs on Monday Night Football that beat them. And the Bears, they thought they were just going to go in there and walk away with that game, and I guess it was a 30 for 30 on ESPN that did a great job on the Bears of that era. And they just said, in essence, that really woke them up, because they thought all they had to do was show up and they would beat anybody. They were that good. And that loss woke them up, and then, of course, they ran the table the rest of the way.
And that night on the sideline and in the locker room at halftime, Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan had to be restrained from each other.
Right. From
Mike Ditka begging Buddy Ryan. I don't know if he was in a man and he wanted to go to zone, or in a zone and he wanted to go to man, but they couldn't cover Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. Not many people could. And Marino could, they could run the go route and just see how far he could throw it, and it would usually work well. But that really, literally and figuratively, probably sobered up the Bears, and they just pounded everybody in the playoffs. And what they did to Dieter Brock and the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and to Tony Eason and Steve Grogan and the Patriots quarterbacks down at the Superdome was just pulverizing. But Don Shula synonymous with the Dolphins, and you think about since his retirement, Dolphins hadn't scratched a whole lot.
No. A lot of wins for Don Shula. You included the playoffs. 347, of course, that's the most, that one season in 72. But 5 Super Bowls, wins in 7 and in 8. And, not many have back-to-back Super Bowl championships. And it was 33 when he was hired by the Baltimore Colts. And he, Belichick, and Hallis are the only NFL coaches at this point, all three over 300 wins. And there's a good chance, really, that Bill Belichick will end up being the winningest NFL coach of all time. He's certainly got the time on his side to do that.
Yeah, let's see how life for him and for Tom Brady proceeds with life without the other one. Both, I think, are just as headstrong as you can get, and both want to top the other one next year. Bill Belichick still blessed by being in that division. Tom Brady is in a really tough division, but we'll see if he can rack up the wins in that double-digit style without Tom Brady. And we'll see if Tom Brady can do it as well without Bill Belichick. I think Tom Brady's got a better head coaching situation than Bill Belichick currently has quarterback situation.
I would agree with that. I think we all like Bruce Arians quite a bit. And, getting Gronk, a couple of the moves they've made, I think they got a chance to at least be a playoff team this year. And I am not sure when you look at their quarterback situation, as you mentioned, with Stidham and all that they've lost, and they didn't have Gronk this year, but that hurt them this year. I don't see, I think they will be surpassed in their division.
By whom?
By the Buffalo Bills.
Not with that quarterback. He doesn't have
that quarterback took them to the playoffs last year.
That defense took them to the playoffs last year, and he wrecked their upset bid against Houston.
We'll see. We shall see. I hope we see. I truly hope we see. We did get a cancellation or a postponement. Actually, I think it's fair to say it is a cancellation. The American Athletic Conference today has decided they will not do their summer kickoff media days. I've written down postponed, but what they've basically said is when they do have a meeting at a date still to be determined, it will be a virtual meeting, so much like the Zoom that we're on, if that's the technology that they use, could be a webinar, however they do it. It will be coaches available on some sort of technology format and not in person. And so,
yeah, CUSA, AAC, the MAC, and Mountain West all have officially declared there'll be virtual media days. The rest will fall in line. There's a lot of compressed schedules on the very best side. Probably no time for the promotion and even the more serious natures, some of the business side. I do get something football worthy out of SEC media days, but probably no time for those frivolities this summer. Some consideration being given for if it's a delayed start, a late September, 1st of October start, maybe having everybody in one day in Birmingham for the SEC, but not the bells and whistles that normally are that go with SEC media days, and sure not what they had planned at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta this year. What they wanted to do, it'll be much more muted because you just don't have time for things like that. Hunter Yurchek, the athletics director at Arkansas today, making news with his meeting with the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees. He said the Razorbacks are playing September 5th. The football team's reporting for practice in the middle of July. The chancellor said school is starting when it normally starts in late August, and they're proceeding on.
Wow. So is that the first of all the SEC schools that has absolutely proclaimed that we are going ahead as scheduled?
It's probably the most definitive proclamation, and we know it's all optimistic. Again, it costs just as much to be optimistic as pessimistic. I like to be realistic with a healthy dose of optimism in there, but I applaud Hunter Yurchek. I think it's aspirational. It's hopeful. It's the best case scenario. I think it takes now to 9 out of 14 in the SEC that we're having intend for school to start in the fall. Now, again, that's a lot of leeway. Fall starts September 22nd. You could have classes start after that. Some don't start, or a couple. I don't think Vanderbilt starts until after Labor Day anyway, and maybe Mizzou. But we could have later starts 9 of the 14 have spoken. But Hunter Yurchek said he said that Arkansas is playing Nevada at Reynolds Razorback Stadium on September 5th. I hope he is right. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity May sales event. Great offers on all the 2020 models and always on special lease options. If you've ever thought, I'd look great in a Lexus, well, you will. And Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look outstanding in one of their beautiful Lexus cars as well. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving and looking great. Lexus of Memphis, very high standards. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
This, the 53rd day, no live sports, but it's the day the city has reopened. And we did get some clarification, too. An addition, according to the mayor of Shelby County, Lee Harris, hair salon business, hair care businesses can now open in phase one, not nail salons. But for those of you trying to get a haircut, if you haven't had one, you guys can tell on Zoom right now. It's been a while since I have had a haircut. Looking forward to getting a haircut. You can do that. Now, that does not pertain necessarily to the city. We got to get clarification, but if you were to go to the county, there would not be a problem with that. Shelby County right now, 2,850 cases of coronavirus. 53 have passed. But really, the cases are up to 101 from over the weekend. But there were 1,636 new tests. The positivity of those tests was 6.2%. We now have had total testing of 34,000. With that bringing that 6.2, bringing it down, it's at 8.4% overall. That is a great improvement from, we were close to 10% just a couple of weeks ago. So the positivity is coming down, and that is a good sign, and one that makes you feel better about the opening of Shelby County. The dashboard, I should point out, no new deaths over the last day. That's good. And we've had now 1,457 who've recovered in Shelby County. In the state of Tennessee, 13,177 cases, 200 deaths. In Mississippi, 7,500, 303 deaths. In Arkansas, almost 3,500 with 76 who have passed away. Worldwide, 3,620,000 with 250,789 who have passed. We've had almost 1,200,000 who have recovered. In the United States, we now have 1,200,000 cases, and we are approaching 70,000 fatalities. We have over 181,000 that have recovered. Those are the numbers of the dashboard.
In our area, in our listening area, here are the deaths compared to the CDC 10-year average of seasonal flu. Now, in New York, Connecticut, just a lot of places, it's a overwhelming number from the virus compared to this. But in our area, 310 deaths from the virus compared to CDC 10-year average of 525 for the state of Mississippi. For the state of Tennessee, 219 deaths from the virus compared to 1,144 10-year average of flu deaths. In Arkansas, 76 deaths from the virus, 528 10-year CDC average from flu. My top sports story, NFL. Don't worry about a thing. All's fine. Full steam ahead with them. Schedule's coming out this week. They say they're starting September 10th, and they will end with the Super Bowl 55 in Tampa on Sunday, February 7th. No international games. I won't miss them. Fine. I did, although I did like the 8:30 game, 8:30 on Sunday morning game occasionally. It's a little bit overdone. Jacksonville fans will rejoice. The Dolphins taking the lead on reopening its stadium to host fans in the virus world of 2020. We will see what capacities will be like. If we have to spread out, we have to spread out.
I am looking forward to seeing what those schedules look like. They did, as you mentioned, cancel all the 5 international games. What I found interesting, too, was that Miami had come up with, or they have mock-up plans for how they will bring people into Hard Rock Stadium. And one of those plans, and it may be the one they end up using, because we are going to try to distance, or they're going to have more entrances into the stadium itself. You'll order your food and then walk up to get it, so there won't be a line where you'd be near people. But they say one of those plans scales down the stadium from 65,000 fans to 15,000 fans. That is a rather dramatic cutting into your hopeful audience. That is for certain.
Not top story of the day.
Well, for me, that is the University of Louisville getting more notice of allegations. One level for illegal recruiting, a level 1, I should say. That was the Brian Bowen case. There was one other that was named in this that they are getting a level 1 allegation for. They have 3 level 3 allegations. One that would involve Rick Pitino, who, of course, is going to Iona, and they are not afraid, obviously, of that pending allegation. 7 programs now have been given notice of allegations stemming from the FBI wiretaps. They are Kansas, North Carolina State, Oklahoma State, South Carolina, USC, and TCU. There are investigations still going on where they could get allegations at Arizona, Auburn, Creighton, LSU, and maybe others. So nothing has really happened. Nothing has really happened from these FBI wiretaps. Maybe something will, but I'll tell you the truth, I've lost a lot of faith in that whole process.
I've lost a lot of faith in the FBI. I've also lost a lot of faith in Iona. If they don't have a coach for a year in Rick Pitino, will they move on from him and have to go out and get a real coach? My not top story, for the price the Cowboys paid for Andy Dalton, they got a deal. Dak's the future at quarterback in Dallas, but they need a capable backup just in case it's a protracted contract holdout or if Dak got hurt. I think Dak Prescott will get in soon, but that is a good, capable backup. That's a Steve Berline type backup for the Cowboys to have, and this week's got to be the week for someone to sign Cam Newton. He can help somebody win next year if he's healthy.
If he's
and they
healthy.
got to do all the medicals, and that's one of the things right now in the virus world. You can't do the full rundown on people.
I think the Andy Dalton move, and I've admired what the Cowboys have done here in the last through the draft and what Jerry Jones accomplished with this move, because, as you say, it provides insurance in case Dak gets injured, but it also provides leverage to say, hey, Dak, if you
get in camp.
If you don't mind your P's and Q's, we're going to pay you, but be fair here. If you don't, we've got an alternative to you. And those are your top and your not top stories. We are really looking forward to talking with our friend from the Bank of Bartlett, that is Harold Bird. And Harold will talk a lot about the PPPs, the economy, what's going on with banks in this pandemic, the opening of the conference. That is all coming your way in just a minute.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 Middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Do you have to add Freon to your air conditioner every summer? Good news, it's super tune-up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a Freon leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69 with a Freon leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, with Conway Services Super Tune-Up, we'll include a leak check at no charge. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. Call this week and we'll perform your Super Tune-Up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me Saturdays 8 to 9 a.m. for Sidelines here on Sports 56 WHBQ, 87.7 FM and 96.1. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, and your favorite team. Give us a call. That's Sidelines, Saturday mornings 8 to 9 a.m. Sidelines is presented by Duncan Williams Asset Management. So get up and give us a call.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stacks. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, and welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. The four-person spas starting at $19.99. The big swim spas, they start at under $10,000. High-quality swing sets, all discounted to $21.99 from $34.99. What a swing there. We are offering contractless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or place an order, and stay safe with Family Leisure. So nice to have with us this afternoon from the Bank of Bartlett, the president and co-founder of the Bank of Bartlett and Bartlett Mortgage. That is Harold Bird, who joins us now. And Harold, I've gotten several emails over the last, 6 weeks or so from you, your bank, pertaining to the PPP and that money, and that is available. And so I want to start with the banking industry and the way the government has stepped up and how this process is working. And as we reopen the county very, very slowly here, the government has been a lifesaver in a lot of ways for a lot of these smaller businesses. Good afternoon, and give us your sense of the way it's all working out.
Good afternoon, Dave, and I just got out of my pool that Billy Connolly gave me from Family Leisure, so I'll be able to talk and be relaxed. I'm kidding. I'd love to have one of those spas, but on a serious note, the PPP program, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, is really a great program for businesses. It starts with businesses with 500 people and less employees. It can go down to self-employed business people, real estate agents. It's a lifeline because the economy, as we know it, stopped. We paused, and it's never happened generally in our lifetime. So this program gives all these folks a chance to, for 60 days, to keep on keeping on until hopefully the economy resumes to, somewhat normal. It's not going to be normal, but until somewhat normal.
Harold, when you talk to your business people and your checking account people and your customers, do you think it will be enough? Will we need another tranche of money from the federal government come the 1st of July?
Stan, it's great to talk with you as well. By the way, you guys do a great job, and I appreciate y'all taking time on a sports program to talk about something that's vital to everybody in our community. And I think we'll need an additional tranche of money. We started out with $349 billion, and we went through that, so quickly like Kenny Gainwell going through for a touchdown, or Anthony Miller. This second tranche was $310 billion, and we still have $135 billion that's available for business people, for self-employed to apply for. And I'm encouraging people to do that today if they're listening to your radio show, which y'all have a huge number of followers. If you have not applied for the PPP program, go to where you bank. We have serviced our own customers, and we'd be glad to take people here. They can call me at 484-1210 or bankofbartlett.com, and I'll be glad to help them out. But to answer your question, Stats, I think there will need to be more, because when people do resume, living a normal life, and the other night I went to Napa Cafe. They do such a great job. You go to any of the restaurants in town, the Rendezvous or wherever, they have been put on hold, and they're serving from the curbside. And when you go back in, there's going to be space, and so even then, they're only going to be able to resume maybe 50% of what they used to do inside.
So, two questions that arise from this. One, how many businesses have you applied for of the PPP to the government on behalf of those businesses in Memphis? Just a rough guess. And you say there's $130 billion left that you think it's going to go. Well, what makes you think, with the county reopening and everybody slowly starting to come back, that we're going to need another wave of that?
Yeah, because, again, our economy, 60 days so ago, 45 days so ago, just came to a halt. And some operations kept on going. But what you've seen business people, you've seen individuals drain their reserves. And so this money that has going through the Paycheck Protection Program will tide people over for this 60 days or so until you get back to somewhat normal. But, we've done very well in home sales, home construction, home mortgage loans. That seems to have kept on going. But let's just say if you get into the event business where people were doing, like a wedding or a birthday party, these type of businesses, everything they had going on for this time for 30 to 45 days has been canceled, and sometimes 3 months out. So in 1 week's time, their income went from full income down to zero.
Can you, if you're a business that's going through those 8 weeks that is part of the formula, can you reapply? Is that why you're saying we may need more? Can a business go back for a second round of that?
And Dave, I'm thinking that will definitely be the case, because in the first round we had construction companies, we had, let's say, like veterinary clinics, where people, all at once their business just stopped. And sometimes we think about doctors who are educated, affluent people, but all at once the only procedures that were allowed were those which were life saving. So those others were elective procedures were put off. So as we go through this first and second tranche of money that Stats referred to, the 349 was in the first, and it went within days. And then the second group here is going slower, because I do think that so many people right now, we get our news differently, and I think there is a lot of, they just don't know. So that's the reason that, I appeal to your listeners. You guys have got such a loyal group of folks, knowledgeable sports people. I would say tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your neighbors, if they haven't applied, if they own a lawn cutting service, or if they own a painting service, if they're carpenters, if they file their taxes on a 1099 or a Schedule C, that's what we need for when they fill our application out, which is a small business administration application. They can go to their bank, and their application will be there. And then what the bank is going to ask them is for their 2019 taxes, and then for proof that they were in business in December of 2019, and in February of 2020.
Harold, how many $1,200 U.S. Treasury checks have y'all cleared?
I think substantial. A lot of this stats has been, if I said it was chaotic and not smooth, that would be an understatement, because when we started out, the computers would crash and go down. It's been slow, but there's never, in fairness to the U.S. government, there's never been a program like this that affected the entire 50 states and the Commonwealth areas that we govern. And this is a worldwide pandemic. Did we take it too lightly? Well, by George, I'd say we definitely did. And this is something that scares the fool out of people. One of my friends posted on Facebook, he went into one of the large department stores, and this is a guy, who thinks he can wrestle bears. And his wife, he had on yellow dishwashing gloves and a mask that would have made Lone Ranger jealous. And so it's funny to, even the most manly people know that this virus will take you down.
We're talking with Harold Bird, president and co-founder of the Bank of Bartlett and Bartlett Mortgage. You never did, and I don't think I gave you the chance. How many PPPs have you guys done? How much has that taken of the your staff's work hours to get all this thing done? And I know you want more, but it has to be time consuming.
Dave, because we most banks right now are accepting business by appointment only. If you want to see us, you have to make, because of the coronavirus, safeguards are put in. We have our drive-throughs open, and you can come into the bank and make application. But a lot of business, we know it has just stopped. So what we felt like we were compelled to do to serve our community, to serve our fellow man, we're not only accepting applications from our clients, we're doing it from other people. We've processed some 1,500 applications. Some of them, very few of them, were turned back. And so, I've never been more prouder of our bank team than in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We are working early hours. We're working through lunch. We're working to 2:30 and 3 in the morning, inputting those loans into the SBA, because on that first tranche stats, it was like you didn't know if you were going to get it in. When that computer opened up, we'd have people who'd be sleeping. They'd get up and the computer would be open. They'd call everybody else and put those loans in. Within, maybe 35, 40 minutes later, the computer would go down. That was during the first tranche. In the second, it was a little bit smoother. So to answer your question, about 1,500 applications. And gosh, when you see people, they write you notes and say, you don't know what a lifeline this is, it really makes you feel good. And, the words of Churchill during the World War II, when Britain was going through its rough times, he said, this is Britain's finest hour. Well, for our group here, I thought it was our finest hour, and the reason was we all came together, but we came together for a great purpose, and that's to help out all the communities in the Memphis metro area.
Heck yeah, Harold, and you're right. That first round, it was almost like the Great American Land Rush times Cannonball Express. It was a race to get there, like it was going to run out quickly, and it did. You mentioned Kenneth Gainwell and Anthony Morgan. I think that next round was more Antonio Gibson. Maybe this last one, I'm going to give you a blast from the past. I know Harold Bird will remember this guy. I think the speed of this next one will be Gerald Tinker.
Let me tell you, I remember Gerald Tinker. He was the fastest
guy
in the
I've
world.
ever seen.
And he's about like me and Dave Wolo stats. I saw a video with
nothing alike.
Being interviewing Larry Finch, the late great Larry Finch, the other day about from 25 years or so ago, and I thought that Dave, man, looks just like you did then. Slim, trim, and machine.
That is an absolute
Harold,
lie.
Let me ask you about compare.
Yes,
this is kind of the sad side, and I know you won't give names and you can't divulge any banking business. I mean, it was the original "you don't talk banking business" that was out there before HIPAA was out there. But a 1-year comparison to like overdrafts and late payments, is it hitting yet?
Just barely, stats, which has sort of surprised us right now, and we know it's going to come. But the people who were so at risk were that they were doing daily type of, let's say like your stylist, your hairstylist, people who were non-essential businesses, and people who were in the event business where you're used to going to parties and things like that, and advertising. a lot of people are not advertising right now, so the advertising agencies are really hurting. So we do have some where we have deferred payments, and we've had a few people ask for that. But the amazing thing thus far, it hasn't hit us hard.
I am very pleasantly surprised to hear that, because that is where I was going. I've seen forgiveness of rent. I've seen forgiveness, and there was a national, I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or the Today Show, where I saw the experts sort of giving advice about calling your bank to ask for that sort of deferred payment. And maybe some people are starting to get back because of the PPP, or maybe because we're opening up, this won't be as critical a time. But as a bank, and I'm asking you to speak for all banks now, Harold Bird, not just Bank of Bartlett, is this a hard business decision to make, where you're going to go, look, we'll give you 2 or 3 months of sort of a deferred time period?
It's hard, but not hard. If you're, we generally and always do, we're dealing with people of good faith. Our clients, they're the most important people to us in the world, in this community. Like you guys, I love the Memphis metro area, and in my lifetime, I've never been more optimistic about our city right now with so many things going on. And I hope after we get through this, it will pop right back. And so, yes, what we have done when people have asked for a deferral, we have done it on the back end of the loan. We'll work with everybody, and hopefully, as you say, right now it hasn't been that tough, and so the PPP program has helped out a ton. And let's talk about golf courses. Both of you guys love to play golf, and that's shut down the country clubs, the golf places where you go and hit driving range balls and things like that. So, yeah, I think what we're looking at right now is if we can resume normal activity, that it won't be the same, but we will be hopefully hitting at 75% by the start of football season, when Memphis Tigers are ready to kick some butt.
Let's hope we kick off. That is for sure. And then kick some butt. Harold Bird, president and co-founder of Bartlett Bank and Bartlett Mortgage, thank you so much. We appreciate your time today, and please stay healthy.
It was an honor to be with you and Stats. You guys keep on keeping on and be safe.
And that is our friend Harold Bird. So, would you go to a ball game? ESPN asked that very thing to 1,004 fans. What did they say? That is up next.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof, or even if you need one, by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, Wolo in studio. Brett Norsworthy in Forest City. We are staying socially correctly distant. Just a few. How many miles is it exactly from your house?
47.
47 miles. I feel very safe with you 47 miles away. On a day.
I'm going to take that as a shot, Dave.
No, that is not a shot.
I've missed you.
I hadn't seen you until I just saw you on Zoom. You look exactly the same. But we should remind everybody you can see us on Zoom now. That's our new audio thing. You can see Drew and the neat looking guy. That's Brett.
Y'all look pretty neat to me.
Well, it you know what? It is good to all be back together. We really have been doing that pretty much
March
the same.
20th, the last time I saw you.
Man. In some ways, this has seemed like a long time. In a lot of ways, though, it's like, boom, that quick.
Isn't that everything? I've said many times, I heard a few years ago, as you get older, the deal is the days are long and the years are short. I find that to be true. Although I don't have many long days. I don't have many bad days. Some, but not many. I'm very blessed, very fortunate, and very grateful. But this has seemed like we have not been on offense in a long time in fighting this. And I don't know that we are now. It's been very defensive, and I'm hoping, I said Friday, I hope the month of May is decision time and we get on offense time.
Well, the news is very, very encouraging today from the University of Arkansas. That is for sure. That they're just
optimistic.
Saying that they're planning on kicking off September the 5th. They're planning on showing up to camp in the last week of July. That's a sort of a 180 from the American Athletic Conference canceling their media days. But that doesn't mean there still won't be a season, and that there could be no SEC media days. But that doesn't mean that Arkansas won't open up when they say that they do. In the meantime, the big story today, Don Shula, by the way, if you hadn't heard, has passed away at the age of 90, the winningest football coach in the National Football League.
Great life.
A great life, a life well lived, as I like to say, for those that really did take advantage of their time on Earth.
I'm going to show you something on the stream while we have it up.
Yeah, okay. Let me
get to it. Hang on.
All right, because I've sort of been. There we go.
A few years ago, we had on an author.
We never could have done this years ago.
A few years ago, we had on an author. Do you remember when we had this guy on, Mike Freeman? It was when we were in the mornings together, and he sent us both this book.
Show me that cover, because I think I do. Yeah.
And he was great. I read this cover. By no means was the Dolphins my team. I liked them. I did not I think I was for them over Washington. And 2 times in my media career, and it's a no-no, but I've done it 2 times. You are to never ask for an autograph when you have a credential on. Right, Dave? That's talked to you almost like after a don't cheer in the press box, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I have violated it 2 times in my life. One was at the Heisman Trophy ceremony and on my credential, and it was leaving. I don't know if it was in there, but I probably shouldn't have done it. I got Bear Bryant's only Heisman Trophy winner, John David Crow, to autograph my credential. The only other time I did it, Mike Shula's first game at Alabama, and on my credential. You see the autograph from Don Shula on it?
Put that a little higher. Raise it up. Yeah, we do now. Yep.
I got Don Shula's autograph that day. I mean, you see the credential against South Alabama. Yep. Alabama was lucky to win that against South Florida. They were lucky to beat Jim Leavitt that day. Jim Leavitt probably should have gotten that job when Mike Shula got it. But
he was on the way of getting it, and then there were reports of sexual harassment, you'll recall, and that sort of derailed his career.
It kind of did, but to the poll about going back to sports, I want to charge back into life. I do.
Okay, so 1,004 people were asked about returning of sports. and only 35% said they would go and attend. 76% said, we'll watch. Oh, actually, 88% said they would watch. Out of the 1,004, 65% said, please return sports, but without being in the stands. 88% said they would watch. 76% said, I'd feel better about them returning with sports, and I would watch it on TV if I knew the players were being kept in hotels and monitored closely. So somewhere between 65 and 70% are saying, yeah, we're still interested in sports, but we're not coming. We're not coming to ball games.
I am. First chance I get, I'm going. First chance I can get a week from tonight, or when Arkansas reopens, I'm going to my favorite Tex-Mex place here in the FC, and I'll wear my mask like I have out when I go in. Of course, I got to take it off to eat. I'll put it back on, and I'll leave. I can't wait to get back out, and I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to infect anybody. I don't know, and I don't know that anybody will infect me, but I'm going to live and see how it goes.
Drew, you're all for it. I could see you nodding.
Of course. I'm going to go as soon as they open up the doors. I mean, as soon as some businesses were open up today, I actually went into a business that had been closed due to COVID-19 today as soon as they opened because, one, I really needed something from them. So as soon as this next progress in the COVID-19 situation here in America and it opens up sports, I'm going to go.
See, I'm a lot more conservative in this regard than you guys. I would probably go because of business. I would go to a sporting event in a press box. But I think I'm going to use the sports parlance of odds. So I think the odds are really still good that we can all catch the disease. But then you look at if you're 20 to 40, and I think I've said this already, but I think it bears repeating. If you're 20 to 40 years of age, I think the odds of it killing you
it's very low.
It's minimal.
Unless you have hypertension,
right,
overweight, heavy smoker.
If you have preconditions, then you shouldn't go. And so my precondition is age. Although I don't feel old, I have very good respiratory system. I have a very good cardio at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But because
you are young for your age, Dave.
But because I'm 67, and my wife will kill me if I go to sit like at a concert, or even to go to a restaurant inside. I might do a patio if the social distancing is correct, and I'm breathing the outside air. But at 67, if I get it, my odds of dying from it are a lot greater than Drew's, who's in his late 20s.
Well, I have, as y'all know, and I've referenced, I've never gone full details because really nobody should be concerned. It's really nobody else's business. It doesn't affect a lot of what I do, but I do have an underlying health issue. It's not going to kill me today. It's not going to kill me tomorrow. It might if I were to get the coronavirus, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to live. And if it were to get me, then that's how the Brett story ends.
Well, I would try to talk you out of that personally, but
I get to go to heaven and see my grandmother and my dad.
I know this much. It's very hard.
Grandmothers,
very hard to talk you out of anything. So I'll just say it.
No,
once.
I don't know that I want to go into Mount Sinai into the ICU right now in New York City.
Right.
I don't want to tempt fate, but when government says we're good to go, Brett's going to be good to go. When I can be back in that studio sitting across from your bright sunshiny face, I'm going to do it.
Well, I hope that day comes soon. You know, I saw another report today. I think it's a company in the UK in Oxford, and they're close. They think they just need testing, but they're certain their vaccine works. We're getting it on a lot of fronts. You know,
I hope so.
I mentioned
while we may not get the miracle vaccine, I do think we'll do very much like we've done HIV and AIDS, is get so many things that supplement you, that help you, that allay the disease.
Well, here's my sense. I would even let Louisville off of the notice of allegations, if indeed that therapy that they've got using genetics, if it works, that cleans the slate. That's
For
it.
sure.
Yeah. That's an hour in the books. When we come back, the man from CBS Sports Net, that is David Cobb on college basketball and a whole lot more. Up next on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Whether you're working from home or working on your fitness, you want what you're listening to be what you're listening to, right? Not what your roommates or family are listening to. Now is the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds. Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds, the best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable noise-isolating fit. It's great for conference calls, video chats, or binging on podcasts. I do that too. It was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. Now's your turn. See what the hype's about. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/herd. That's buyraycon.com/herd. 15% off. One more time. buyraycon.com/herd.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in. You heard the big announcer voice tell you our title sponsor for this hour of the program is Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch, and they are always ahead of the curve right now. You know, they were the first ones to do it. It's still going on and going strong. You can get 0% financing for 84 months. That's 7 years. No interest will you pay on the notes, and because these times are a little bit tougher than usual, 120 days before you have to make your first payment on select models of either Hyundais or of Genesis. And you know my Genesis car, I am in love with it. It's the G70, fastest car I've ever had. Everybody who's seen this, it's a royal blue, tiger blue car. It is snazzy looking. Everybody goes, wow. I mean, you look like you're a teenager again in that car. And I tell them I am.
Or at least 26.
I am at heart. It really is special. And all these cars, they last forever. 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car on the lot at Craft Road and Highway 78. Go see Chris True. He loves chatting with you. He'll take care of you. This is, I think, the standard of car business. Please go see for yourself why. Just get on Lamar. You're there in a minute at Homer Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. David Cobb from CBS comes in, chats with us now. We always love chatting with him in this time slot on Monday. And, over the weekend, I guess I should say last Friday, Penny Hardaway, the Tiger head basketball coach, was pretty vocal about the NBA and about the G League assault on players. And basically, David, what he said was, I thought the G League was supposed to be an alternative. They're going to pay this elite team a little bit more so they wouldn't go to New Zealand and Australia. They wouldn't go overseas. And it was for people that just really didn't want to go to college at all. But for them to be targeting players that had already committed was, he said, a terrible thing. Give me your thoughts about Penny opening up.
Yeah, I thought he was spot on. And this is something that he and the other major coaches in college basketball can agree on. If Penny made waves or made some enemies with the way he assembled that 2019 class, well, he might be able to recover some goodwill with the blue blood programs around the country by being one of the first to really lend strong critiques publicly to what we're seeing with the G League. And it's more than just Penny maybe being disappointed about Jalen Green's decision, because in his remarks, and you mentioned it, Dave, he was talking more specifically to players who had already committed. And in the case of UCLA and the Bruins losing Dyshon Nix to the G League, he was already signed. He had signed a national letter of intent. And I don't think there's a college coach out there that is okay with any program in college basketball losing a player that has already signed to something like this. That is, I think, a little bit too far. And I commend Penny for pointing that out because we haven't seen a lot of coaches yet. Though I know I'm sure that privately they're all frustrated with this. He's one of the first to come out as forcefully as he did, and I applaud him for that.
He did it forcefully, David, but he did not do it with being bellicose. He did not do it being kind of harebrained. He did it very measuredly. And I think that was the right approach. Now, he needs solidarity from the other Blue Bloods and the big-time named head coaches to be with him, because I don't know if they need to treat the NBA. They cannot. I know better. I said I don't know. No, I do know better that they cannot treat the NBA adversarial. You can't go after them with credentials or limiting access, because as soon as you do, some program's going to go out there and go, I'm not, because I want my guys to get there, and it's a great recruiting tool. But they've got to let them know, if you're going to treat us like you're anti-us in business, then there's got to be some repercussion. There's got to be some fight back.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because the guy who's leading the NBA G League developmental program is Sharif Abdur-Rahim, who he and Penny were in the NBA at the same time together. I mean, these are two guys that probably have a lot in common because they came up in that mid-'90s and played through the early 2000s. They both made all-star games at one point. Penny made several. And so they probably, at their core, don't actually have huge differences. In fact, they have the same goal. They're trying to get top-level high school prospects to the NBA, and I don't see why the G League should have to resort to exactly what Penny says here, as going after guys who are interested and willing to play college basketball. Jalen Green was willing to play college basketball. It's kind of what he had planned on there for a while. He said so. He said back just a few months ago that he was going to play college basketball. And so I think everybody was under the impression that this G League program was constructed to get the R.J. Hamptons and the LaMelo Balls of the world and to keep them from going overseas, to keep that talent in-house so the scouts didn't have to fly to Australia to see them play and all that. And that's kind of not what they're doing here. I mean, their three most high-profile players that they've assembled for this first group so far were all guys that were pretty intent on playing college ball, because Isaiah Todd, most people thought, was pretty firm to Michigan. He was a verbal commitment there. And then, of course, Jalen Green with the Tigers, and Nix was signed. He was signed. Can you imagine the outroar that would have been here if Jalen Green is signed in December? And then we learned a couple weeks ago that that he wasn't going to honor that. It just seems a little off, and I really think that the G League program is really capitalizing on the unique circumstances in our country right now to get this talent, because with the uncertainty around what the college calendar is going to look like, both academically and in athletics, the pitch is easier now than ever before, especially since the name, image, and likeness stuff won't go into effect this year. It's, hey, you don't want to go to college, not get paid, and risk not even being able to come on campus. Why would you risk that when we can give you a couple $100,000 right now, go to Southern California and train, and it won't matter if we get to play any games or not, because that's not even the point of this whole program. And so I think their pitch, the G League's pitch, was more attractive now than ever for that reason. And I think they maybe got a little bit too full of themselves there by going after these players and sort of taking advantage of them in a situation that is totally unprecedented.
I think you're spot on, David Cobb. I really do. I think when you can go to a kid and say, Jalen Green, they may not even be playing basketball this year. We'll pay you $500,000. You can come, and whether we play any games or not, we'll have a trainer there for you and a nutritionist there for you, and we'll make sure you're learning how we do it in the league, and you're going to get drafted. So, hey, come on, you're going to be guaranteed that. Not let alone you're going to get a shoe company, and you're taking a chance when you go to college, because what if they don't even play basketball this year?
That's exactly right. And, I do think that Memphis still has an attractive case. I mean, we did a live mock draft today with some of our CBS Sports team, and both Wiseman and Achua went in the top 20. I mean, Wiseman was 8. I think Achua was 16. I'd have to look back.
Wiseman was 8 in your mock draft? Wow.
I know. That was my
somebody gets fired. His GM.
Yeah, I know. Right. And, I did actually, I rewrote the top of it after we got done with it, and that was my lead, is that it was unthinkable that Wiseman would fall that far. But the fact stands that those two guys came to Memphis, and yes, James Wiseman only played 3 games, but the fact is they had 2 players in that recruiting class, or they are likely to have 2 players from that 2019 class selected in the first round of the draft. And so I still think the Memphis pitch is competitive and attractive against the G League program, because if I'm Penny, I'm pushing back on the G League program by saying, look, we have no idea, for as much uncertainty as there may be around college basketball in the upcoming year, I would say there's just as much uncertainty around the G League program, because while it's great and the money is attractive, nobody knows what it looks like. And it just smells to me a little bit like something, from a snake oil salesman, where, look, I mean, this thing has been in the news cycle for a month now, and the NBA still has not officially in any capacity released specifics about how it's going to work. I mean, they didn't even have a coach for the thing until after Jalen Green and Isaiah Todd had committed to it. And it just...
And ironically, that's Sam Mitchell, former Penny assistant.
I know. So I just have questions about it, and I'm not coming at it even from a standpoint of trying to, defend Memphis or defend college basketball. I think college basketball is going to be fine, even though this thing does get a foothold.
Too, David.
I just think
I'm so tired of people writing the obituary of college basketball.
Well, yeah, it's just it's going to be fine, because people are still going to root for their schools, they're still going to root for their alma maters, and there's still going to be, some really good players in college basketball. I mean, the Obi Toppins, John Morant, those guys, didn't even get power conference off, and they just turned into superstars. And so I don't know. I think Memphis might have to recalibrate. And Penny, to his credit, was super honest about that in those remarks he had the other day when he said, "Yeah, you know what? It might kind of change the way we refer a little bit." But he's got a solid talent base to work with. Bad news, of course, about the immediate eligibility recommendation, and that the council recommending that probably not go into effect this year. But even if they don't have Landers Nolly, the AAC is losing so much talent that outside of Houston, I think Memphis will be just as talented as any other team in that league.
What do you think was
David,
the reason why I'm sorry, Brett, but why?
No, it's okay.
Why do you think the NCAA, which appeared to be like on the verge of passing this without any question, they were going to waive the 1-year deal, take away the gratis rule for the transfer there. Why did they suddenly give you this recommendation, which doesn't mean it's dead forever, but it could be dead for this year? And I guess the second part of that question is, that's a recommendation from this council.
Correct.
But the full body, and I'm not sure if they're actually voting on May 20th or they're not voting on May 20th. But if they voted on it, could they still vote it in despite the recommendation of the committee?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was going to mention that because, I mean, they are scheduled to vote on it this month, and they could go against that recommendation. I mean, I have no idea what the precedent is of something like that happening, if it's happened in recent memory or ever happened on anything nearly this significant. I doubt it, but that doesn't, a recommendation doesn't necessarily mean that the full board has to vote that way. And, I mean, I guess the recommendation, the one argument that I've read in other articles is that compliance departments and universities are ill-equipped right now to handle the immediate repercussions of that because of everything else that's going on right now, and with many athletic departments in a state of financial chaos, dealing with furloughs, dealing with staff cuts. That trying to implement something of that magnitude under these circumstances, under such a rushed manner, would just be impractical. Which, I mean, seems to me like a little bit of a cop-out, but, I mean, it's probably the best explanation that I've heard so far.
David, if you're Iona, if it's 8, 10, 12 games, I don't know what the choke point is, but if it's just a number of games, it's one thing. If it's a season, do you say, hey, Rick, we tried, good luck, buddy?
I think, if it's the season, it's no good. If it's just a few games, I almost think they might actually – I don't think that they would like it necessarily, but it could actually play in their benefit because you know what that does is it puts Rick Pitino and Iona back in the news cycle and gives people a reason to talk about a program and a coach that they probably wouldn't have any reason to talk about otherwise. And people say, oh, yeah, Rick Pitino's at Iona now. Yeah, did you hear he got suspended for 10 games? And all of a sudden his name's out there, and people are reminded that he won a national championship at Louisville not all that long ago. I think maybe if it's just a few games or a slap on the wrist, maybe it's not all that bad for them. I mean, they've already responded to it, and Pitino has said that he's going to contest some of these allegations, which, again, is kind of right on brand with him, and I think something that he's probably really excited to get to do because it means we're going to be talking about and writing about Rick Pitino, which is going to do nothing but help an Iona program that was just toiling. And I mean, they were a good program. They were actually winning a lot of games, but they weren't making any waves on the national headlines. And so that's going to change as this saga plays out, and it might give them a chance to get some better players, as odd as that sounds.
What will this do to Louisville? Because they've been hit with the level 1 and 3 level 3. Now, he's involved in a level 3, so I suspect he's not going to get suspended for a whole year, and that's not counting all the other stuff that he's been involved with, like, Italian restaurant rendezvous,
Karen Cyphers,
and paid prostitutes in dorms in the basketball.
It's been a lot
dorm.
with him. He's had some issues.
But what does this do for the Cardinals program? And now they're one of 7 that have been hit with letters of allegations from this FBI wiretap, and there's 7 more still under investigation. And Lord knows nothing's happened to any of these schools. What do you think ends up being the end result here?
I don't know, because Louisville, because of all those other things that you mentioned, they are already on probation. And so, I mean, in theory, you would think that they might get hit harder than anybody else as a result of this FBI investigation fallout due to the fact they were already on probation for fairly significant charges. I mean, they self-imposed a postseason ban out of that stuff that happened before. And now on the heels of that, while they're still on probation from it all, this comes down. So I mean, when you put it all together, even though Patino's not there and the AD that was there, Jurek isn't there anymore. I mean, they could really get hit hard because they're already in hot water, and so. I mean, I guess the NCAA could look at it and say, oh, well, we already hit them pretty hard for stuff that Patino did, and Patino's been gone, and so on and so forth. But, I mean, at the same time, they could say, you guys have already caused us a lot of trouble, and you're already on probation, and now this? I mean, you can make the case that there could be severe repercussions for Louisville out of this. And I don't know, I watched their president and their AD on a live press conference video thing, kind of responding to it. And, they seem like they've got a good handle on it. And they were stressing repeatedly how none of this stuff happened on the watch of the current staff. And so maybe they can kind of posture themselves enough with that, sort of cushion from it all to avoid the worst of it. But I think the case could be made that this is strike two in a very short period of time, and that they could be in position to be punished more severely than any of the other teams who are caught up in the FBI fallout.
David, I almost feel bad that I have to scotch this, that I have to preface this, and the poobahs of college football feel like they look like they probably need to start doing it, because I think people only hear what they want to hear, and that's very natural too in these times. But of course, safe and smart. But I also want the third S. I want soon. Today, Hunter Yurachek, very out front with the Arkansas Razorbacks are playing the Nevada Wolfpack at Reynolds Razorback Stadium Saturday, September 5th. The chancellor said school's going to start in late August. Hunter Yurachek said the football team would report in July. If camp could open, if access to the building could happen before then. Very aspirational, very hopeful. David, do you sense from some, and I'm not just talking about Twitter replies, do you sense from some, even if it is safe and smart, they don't want football back?
That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like there's been a growing sentiment like that for a number of years now, but it's mainly been based on the studies about the long-term health effects of playing the game. Oddly enough, I actually haven't seen a lot of chatter from that crowd. I guess, that crowd has other bigger things to worry about right now than trying to use this pandemic to capitalize on sort of the war on football, I guess. But that's interesting. I applaud your alma mater for taking a stand like that. The only part of that plan that Yurachek put forth that isn't up to him is whether Nevada is coming or not. Because they can
very true.
Have the stadium ready, but if Nevada doesn't show up, they got to figure out something to do.
That's an excellent point.
But I think the SEC schools seem to be pretty bent on moving forward and playing football. And I mean, until there's quality research that suggests we shouldn't, I'm all for it. And even if that's without fans, like I don't know how that would work. How much of the revenue comes from ticket sales, but I mean, even without that, I mean, football is just so important financially, culturally, and I think the SEC is in position to kind of hold the feet of the rest of the nation to the fire and getting this thing back going again. And so I'm happy to see Yurachek and some of the other schools around the SEC moving forward, saying, "Hey, we're planning to play football this year."
There isn't a college athletic administrator that wouldn't want football in the worst way. There's no doubt about that. Even if there isn't a crowd for the Power Fives, the television money would make up for a lot of economic hurt if it doesn't get played. We're talking with David Cobb from CBSSports.com, and as I remember a week ago, you were a prophet. You said Steve Forbes, he's going to go to Wake Forest. And I wondered, because I believe in him. I was thinking, I wonder if he would hold out for an even better job than that. But he took it. You were right on the money. And Wake Forest has had some pretty good players, Chris Paul, Tim Duncan, where they've done some damage, even in the ACC. Is that going to be a great fit?
I think so. Well, I mean, it's a weird fit because Forbes is kind of like a blue collar. I mean, he's not all that different than Bruce Pearl. Like, he was on Pearl's staff for a while, just like a consummate grinder, who didn't play the game at an elite level and didn't break in on the staff.
And he's not a young guy. He's about my age.
Yeah, and Wake is this elite, sort of academic institution, like the Vanderbilt of the ACC. So, like, in that regard, like, it's a little bit of a strange fit, but I think it's a great hire. And, I think with the ACC right now, it's so top heavy right now, and the middle class of that league is so mediocre. And then you think about, like, the old guard of coaches, the Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, they're getting on up there. Yeah, they're advanced in years, and so the league could be there for the taking, in the coming years. And I think Ford having the variety of experience that he has is the safest bet out of the candidates that they considered, because he's been a head coach, been to the NCAA tournament as a head coach, but he's also recruited at a high level at a place like Tennessee. And so his resume was more complete than any of the other candidates that they reportedly looked at. And so I think it's awesome. I think it's a great hire. And, for Ford, who would have thought when everything went down at Tennessee less than a decade ago with Pearl and the barbecue and all that both Forbes and Pearl within a decade would be head coaches of major conference schools. It's pretty amazing. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, both those guys got hit with show causes for what happened, and they're both sitting pretty right now. And so you kind of wonder, is that show cause penalty that was feared for so long, like, starting to lose some of its teeth? I don't know. It's something to consider.
And, David, we're close on time, but you made the good point last week, too, that John Curry knew him really well inside that Tennessee athletics department. And if there was any there that we didn't know about with the barbecue, he wouldn't have touched Steve Forbes. He'd have been scared to death of him. It tells me the full vetting and the full understanding really all came out.
Yeah, and because Tennessee continued to make blunders after Pearl by hiring Donnie Tyndall, and so by that time Curry had already left Tennessee, but he took a lesson that I think a lot of ADs can take from what happened there, and he decided to use a search firm. I mean, even though he knew who he wanted, he used an outside vetting process just to make sure everything checked out. And my goodness, after everything Curry went through with the Shiano ordeal, that was a no-brainer. So he did his due diligence there, and it's a tough sell to Wake, but at the end of the day, Chris Paul and Tim Duncan played there, and it's a school where it's been shown that you can win, and I think Forbes will do well there. It may not be immediate; they're losing a lot from a team that wasn't very good, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road, I bet Wake's in the NCAA tournament almost every season.
He's David Cobb from CBSSports.com. We chat with him every Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Thank you, David. Stay safe.
Thank you, David.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure chatting with David Cobb. He's brought to you in part by the Butcher Shop. I got to tell you, the Butcher Shop is going to have a special Mother's Day menu for pickup. Oh, yeah. They are not messing around. I'm going to double check to see if they're not going to be open now that we know we are coming back. And at about 25% to 50% capacity. We'll get all the particulars from Simpson here in the next day or two. But I can tell you, I know he has a thorough menu all planned out for Mother's Day. He's also got this great thing for pickup, $100 family meal for 4. And you get New York strip, Atlantic salmon, or chicken breasts with a garden salad, baked potatoes and French bread, and 4 homemade desserts with ice cream, cheesecakes, or brownies. Oh, yeah. We're talking 4 for $100. I mentioned the strip if you want to move to a 12-ounce ribeye or 7-ounce filet mignon for a little extra price. They will throw those into the mix, too. The Butcher Shop, still doing it every day for pickup. And they still have Hamburger Friday on Friday. You just come pick it up, or you can go do Hamburger Friday any day. As long as you're doing $250 worth of business, they'll bring Hamburger Friday to you, or Grubhub will deliver it. It is so simple. And yes, they are still going, and the butcher shop wants to remind you they'll have a very special menu for Mother's Day. When we return, Jeff Crane from the University of Memphis, the assistant athletic director, on new season ticket packages and options and a whole lot more. That's next.
With Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hurt. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
A heart in my tasty Honey Nut Cheerios? Cereal, you trying to tell me you love me?
Actually, it's reminding you that it can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
Wait! They can help lower cholesterol? I've been so focused on the sweet, tasty taste that I completely forgot. Now I'm in love.
Learn more about making Honey Nut Cheerios part of your heart-healthy lifestyle by picking up a box at your local grocery store.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participate in CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in, everybody, on this very nice springy Monday day. Hope the pollen levels get a little bit lower. I think they're supposed to as the week comes to an end. And we are scheduled to chat with Jeff Crane, the Assistant Athletic Director of the U of M. Just a reminder, coming up after Jeff, Chip Namias, who has a PR company in Los Angeles and does still a lot of work in Miami. It's a national PR company for athletics, really. He was a very young man when he was a PR director for the Miami Dolphins. This is years ago for Don Shula, and he will reminisce with us about Don Shula, who passed away today at the age of 90. In the meantime, Jeff Crane does join us now, the assistant AD at the U of M. Hope you are doing well. Hope you are sheltered and safe and healthy. And I know you guys are cramming in a lot of planning. Ooh. Have you ever worked harder than you are, really, the last 6 weeks, Jeff Crane?
You know, it's funny, Dave. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all having me on because
thank you, Jeff.
You asked that question, and I've been fortunate enough to have been here for the last 8 months, and the football season was so exciting. And then we have game day, and then we have the Cotton Bowl, and we've got basketball worked in there. And I thought, golly, boy, this is really busy. And now we have this. So it just feels like this is the new normal. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I bet a lot of meetings, and I always talk to administrators, Jeff, on the season's eve of college football, and ask them, what does your legal pad, what does your checklist look like? it's probably times 50 right now, isn't it?
You know, it is. It just takes a lot more coordination. You really kind of underestimate. I underestimated the just bumping into each other in the hallway and being able to kind of grab people for a very quick, short conversation where you could really get something done fast. Now it's got to be intentional and planned and so on. But you know, our staff has been incredible, and I really truly feel like some of our best work has occurred here in the last few weeks, because I think it does force us to be intentional and be a little bit smarter, and we really prioritize more because there's only so much that you can do. I think our marketing and communications people have done a phenomenal job. The things we're doing on social media, you can go on right now and design your own stadium cup and print that off and color it in and design it and send it in to us, and we'll post it on social media. You can do the same with a football poster that you want to design, and we have folks with Dave's help that are out in their front lawns running football plays and submitting them so they can have their play-by-play done by Dave. So you know, it's just really neat, creative ways to keep our fans engaged, and I really applaud our folks, Steve Macy and Tammy DeGroff and their teams, and Will Price have just done a great job.
Jeff Crane, the Assistant Athletic Director at the University of Memphis, joining us. And today, the Athletic Director and the Chancellor at the University of Arkansas have both said, hey, we feel pretty good. We're going to have a game on September the 5th in Fayetteville. Our students are going to start at the end of August with classes, and at the end of July, the team is going to report to camp. I know we had Dr. Rudd on, and the University of Memphis president said he felt like there were going to be classes in the fall on campus. Maybe some of them would be hybrid classes, but he felt pretty good about that. So you guys are going forward with a lot of different options on season tickets. Explain exactly what a fan could do right now if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're really moving forward as if we're going to have a full football season, and but we also are realistic to know that the world may change, and so we're looking at contingency plans. But today you can renew your season tickets, and we hope you will. And in the event we do not have a season, then the season ticket price will be refunded. And I'm pleased to tell you all that we've sold 6,700 football season tickets, which if you look at year over year, on May 1st of 2019, we were at 5,200 season tickets.
I am astounded at that. I would never have guessed that. I would have thought you would have gone the other way, and not because they're not excited about it, but because there was so much uncertainty that they're going to tie up their money with something that might not occur. They know they're going to get it back, but that is amazing to me.
Yeah, I think it shows that there's so much hope and optimism on everybody's part that
we need
that
it.
We're going to have a football season. Yeah, we do, and you know, I just think when we open up Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium, we're going to have as big crowds as we've ever had. It might look a little different. We may have to be creative in terms of how we do some of that, but I think we're going to have at least the most excited crowd we've ever had. I'll say that.
When you're looking,
and Jeff, I don't want to get you in trouble with your bosses, but that 6,700 number, without this uncertainty, with all this unease, with all this scare that we have out there, that 6,700 could easily be 11, 12, 13 or so. And here's the reason why. I saw this nugget. The last 4 years, graduating senior classes winning football games. Well, Clemson and Alabama out there at 55 and 52. And then Ohio State and Oklahoma at 49 and 47. Georgia at 44. App State, Boise State at 43. LSU, Penn State, Wisconsin at 42. Central Florida at 41. Washington at 40. And then at 38 wins for a graduating senior class ahead of Michigan, Notre Dame, Auburn, Iowa, the Memphis Tigers. You would have had a wave of momentum heading into this summer and this offseason, Jeff.
There's no doubt. There was a ton of excitement. I mean, you know, there were various points during this season that we were the hottest team in college football. I mean, everybody was talking about Memphis. So But I think that's going to carry over, and that excitement will continue. It might look different this year, but that momentum's still there. And I can assure you that Coach Silverfield and his staff are diligently working around the clock, and they've gotten really creative too. By the way, the other day I walked in to the football building, and Coach Silverfield was doing snap counts virtually with our offensive line, trying to get them to jump off sides via Zoom or whatever it is they were on. So it's really fascinating, and our coaches and our student athletes have gotten really creative.
That's wild. I guess you have to push a button when you're going to go. You can jump off sides that way. That's
Blue 98 over Zoom.
Wait,
yeah.
Number 73, what are you doing? Come on. Jeff Crane, our guest, Assistant Athletic Director at the U of M. While you're in all this planning, and I know you've got all kinds of different options for fans out there, have you guys gone over scenarios of how you might have fans in the stands if that's allowed, if it's going to be 50% or 25% or 70%? Have you got different scenarios with which this may unfold?
And we haven't looked at it as a particular number or percentage at this moment, but we are thinking through what it could look like if the city and others ask us to play football with less fans. And I'll say that I was on a call just this afternoon with others around the city that operate sports franchises and teams and programs, and the city has done an absolutely phenomenal job of helping us and providing us guidance and bringing us all together to share best practices. And that's just not the norm, I don't think, as I talk to my colleagues around the country, that you have a city that's that engaged in trying to help you and help your entity. So we're taking a lot of our guidance from the city, and they're getting theirs from some of the best health experts out there. So, yes, we were looking at every scenario possible.
All right, so
and everyone should be looked at. And Jeff, I think I know why you did it. And Hunter Yurchek has already released an official statement with, of course, it is based on continued and health and safety of the student athletes. I know why you did, and we all do. I don't think we should even have to preface ourselves that it's going to be safe under guidelines by the top medical officials and smart. We don't want to imperil anyone, but I know why we have to do it. But it's a shame we should, because, look, we all want football, but we're not going to jeopardize another mass public health breakout. I mean, I don't even know why we have to preface it.
No, that's right. I mean, you're right. You kind of feel like you have to say that, but I think it's a given, and that's where I think the world has come to now. I think we're just going to view things a lot differently than we maybe have in the past. But the great news is we're all on the same page. I mean, we're doing this. We're all in this together. I mean, there's no university, there's no city, there's no state that's not having to deal with this, and we're working with our university and with our city to make sure we're all on the same page.
Jeff, last thing, Jeff Crane, the Assistant Athletic Director at the U of M. If somebody is excited and does want to help out and get their first shot at a ticket for the up-and-coming football season, what do they do?
Absolutely. You can go to gotigersgo.com, and we have season ticket packages available. You can call our main ticket office number through great technology. We now have ticket office personnel whose cell phones are ringing when you call our main ticket office number. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. We also have payment plan options. Folks wish to do that over a longer period of time. That's available for them as well. So we just appreciate the great support we've been getting, and we don't anticipate that will end.
I love it. 6,700 already. I never would have guessed that. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You got it.
Jeff Crane, the Assistant Athletic Director at the University of Memphis, and obviously that is just outstanding news.
It is, and what it would have been, and it's such a shame for this wave of momentum that were coming out of the Cotton Bowl, coming out of that season. I mean, to watch again. I mean, go back and watch Reese Davis's open when he says, "I feel the temperature rising" on Bill Street for game day, and what was missed out, and for a lot of places that had first year coaches. Tigers in a different situation. They got a first year coach, but it's after a torrent of success. At other places, it was the opposite. And their season ticket rollouts inhibited, and our whole lives have been inhibited. But we talk about sports, and it means a lot to us, and we want to get back, and we want to get back soon. But the first two S's is safe and smart.
The story of the day is the passing of the great Don Shula, the winningest football coach in the history of the National Football League, a Memphian named Chip Namias. He worked with Don Shula when he was a youngster. We'll take a walk down memory lane with him when we come back.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Hey, sports fans, you already know the Butcher Shop has been a great Memphis tradition since 1981, and it still is. The Butcher Shop is absolutely open for your takeout with curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery because the Butcher Shop is still serving your favorite steaks, fish, and seafood. But now you can also pick them up raw and take them home to cook. You get the highest quality from the Butcher Shop and the comfort of home cooking. All wine and beer selections can be sold and picked up curbside as well. Plus, order curbside and pickup and receive 10% off your food order. And how about Burger Fridays? Treat your company to lunch, and the Butcher Shop will deliver Hamburger Friday any day of the week with all the fixins for just a minimum $250 order. The Butcher Shop is here for you, so don't worry about getting a great meal. The Butcher Shop has cooked or uncooked meals for curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery. Call 757-4244 or online at thebutchershop.com. The Butcher Shop at the Agri Center, Walnut Grove, and Germantown Parkway.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our second hour story of the day, the passing of Don Shula at the age of 90. Winningest football coach in the history of the NFL, 347 wins, the architect of the only undefeated season, 1972, 17-0, and a Memphian named Chip Namias, who is now the president of a public relations company out of Los Angeles. It's Athlete and Event Sports Public Relations. He joins us now. He was at the very tender age, I think it was 26 years of age, was a very, very young PR director for the Miami Dolphins and Don Shula. So you really cut your teeth on the master, didn't you?
I really did. It was quite a shock to become the PR director of the Dolphins at 26 and realize that I'm working for Don Shula, and I was green as grass, coming from a couple years with the Memphis Rogues and another job in between, and there I was, and working for a very intimidating guy who was Mr. Pro Football.
He was Mr. Pro Football, and Chip, from everything you read, tough, had that square jaw, and when he had to make football decisions, you know he had the team in mind. But it always seemed, and everybody says, it was a gentlemanly nature and a matter-of-fact kindness about him.
Well, there was. I mean, he was very, very tough, very demanding. He didn't demand anything more of you than he did of himself, but you know, you either sunk or swim, and if you had to earn his respect, and you had to prove to him that you were up to doing the job, and you could, all of us experienced the legendary Shula stare and the legendary jutted jaw on several occasions, but I was also lucky enough to get a few of what were his ultimate signs of warmth when he would kind of cup the back of your neck in his hand. And I remember both every one of the stares I got and every one of the cupped hands behind my necks I got. And it was, it's the most significant thing in my 40-year career to have worked for an icon like Coach Shula.
It is interesting. I said at the very beginning of the program, I've been around a lot of tough, mean football coaches. The thing that always struck me about Shula, and I know he could be tough, as you said, the jutted jaw. I like that imagery. But there was a warmth about him that you didn't get from that many big-time football coaches.
Yeah, and he was very accessible. All the media who are around now who covered him at the time will say how incredibly accessible he was. As long as he respected you and you didn't ask dumb questions, he would give you plenty of time. He would make himself available to the media many times of the day, and even if he yelled at you or he got mad at you, or whether you were a player or an assistant coach or a sports writer, he forgot about it 5 minutes later. You didn't, but he did, and he never held a grudge. And he never, once he got out of the system, it was over.
Chip, what was he? We have to kind of label guys as one side of the ball. Bill Walsh was kind of offense, and Bill Belichick is a defensive guy. What was Don Shula? Was he offense or defense? 'Cause he had the great 53 defense, and a room full of Hall of Famers on that side. He had Johnny U and Bob Greasy, and he ran the ball and he threw the ball with Dan Marino. What was he?
Well, he came up as a defensive player. He was a defensive back in college, and he played defensive back for the Cleveland Browns in the NFL for 8 years. And he was a defensive coordinator before he got his chance at the very young age of 33 to be the head coach of the Baltimore Colts when he was younger than a lot of the players, including Unitas. But, when you look back on his career, besides the great 53 defense you talked about, he also was known for many of his offenses, but he was mainly known for being able to adjust to the personnel that he had. When Greasy was the quarterback, they threw the ball, 10, 12 times a game, and they ran you silly with Morris and Zonk and Kick. And then when Dan Marino came on the scene, he adjusted, and he went to a pass-happy offense that threw it 40 times a game. And that led to the famous off-quoted Bum Phillips line when he said about Don Shula, he could take his'n and beat urine, and take urine and beat his'n, to imply that he was a guy that could adjust to the times and to the personnel that he had and still be successful.
He apparently was very happy. I think it was in 1985, you said in a piece you wrote today, the happiest you ever saw him was defending the honor of his undefeated 72 Dolphins.
Yeah, that was the happiest I ever saw. The Bears came in, that powerhouse Bears team in 85 came into Miami for a Monday night game. They were 12-0. It was the most electric atmosphere I've ever seen at a sporting event, and I've been to 37 Super Bowls. It was like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier boxing match. Kind of air was just crackling with electricity, and with members of the 72 Dolphins on the sidelines watching and cheering them on, the Dolphins just ran over the Bears in Ditka that night, 38-24, and he was just ecstatic. And the angriest I've ever seen him was in December 12th, 1982, in what's remembered by many Dolphins fans as the snowplow, or many football fans as the snowplow game. Such an infamous game, it has its own Wikipedia page. And that was when the Dolphins and Patriots were playing in Foxborough in a heavy snowstorm. And the NFL had given the Patriots permission to have snowplows on the sidelines to try to keep the field clear during stoppages in play. And the game was scoreless because you couldn't even see the ball or the field. The game was scoreless late in the fourth quarter, and the Patriots were going to line up and try to field goal. And right before the snap, the Patriots head coach, Ron Meyer, frantically started waving his arms to have this snowplow come onto the field right before the snap and clear a swath for the Patriots field goal kicker, John Smith, and they did, and he made the field goal, and the Patriots won the game 3-0. And Shula was just so, I've never seen another human being as angry as he was in the locker room after that game, not only because they had lost the game on something that was completely unfair, but because what had happened violated everything that Don Shula stood for, his principles, the integrity of the game, fairness. It was all a violation of everything he had built his entire career on, and he never forgave Ron Meyer for that.
What do you think was the thing he was most proud of? The 347 wins, the 2 Super Bowls, the 17-0 year, his steakhouses. What do you think he would want people to remember him most for?
Probably I know he was very proud of the 72 undefeated team because nobody had ever done that. And of course, the all-time winningest coach in NFL history. He was proud of that and all the people that helped him get there. A lot of people today, we've told a lot of stories and had a lot of smiles about Coach. One of the things about him that he could laugh at himself about was that he was completely unaware of pop culture and the world going on around him, other than football and family. And if I have time, I'll tell you a quick story.
Sure, go ahead.
That underscores that. At the height of the craze of the TV show Miami Vice, when it was just a phenomenon, and Don Johnson, who was the star of that show, and at a time where everything was Miami Vice,
sure,
and it was trend-setting and creating styles everywhere. And Don Johnson was a huge Miami Dolphins fan and a Don Shula fan, and he knew our equipment manager, and he told the equipment manager who had gotten him tickets for a certain game, he said, "I'd love to get a chance to meet Coach Shula after the game." And so the equipment guy asked me before the game, is there any way we could make that happen? And I said, we'll make it happen if we win the game, but if we lose, no chance. So we win the game. So after the game, Don Johnson's in the locker room. Our equipment guy had brought him in, and Coach Shula's finishing up his responsibilities with the media. So I bring Coach Shula over to meet Don Johnson, and I said, "Coach, this is I want you to meet Don Johnson from Miami Vice." And Coach Shula shakes his hand, and he goes, "You guys do a hell of a job, a hell of a job." Coach Shula had no idea who Don. He thought he was a Miami Vice police officer. So Don Johnson doesn't get that Coach Shula doesn't know who he is. So when Coach Shula says, "You guys do a hell of a job," Johnson's pumping his hand, and he says, "Coach, I'd like to invite you to come down and watch us shoot sometime." And Shula goes, "Oh, no, that's too dangerous for me."
They're having two conversations.
No clue of the pop culture world.
Oh, I love that. That is good. Chip,
That's
thank
beautiful.
you so much.
Thank you, Chip.
I know you always have a bunch of authors and athletes and everything available with great stories. We're going to keep in great touch with you. Thank you so much for today, for that walk down memory lane, and I hope you're staying safe in Florida.
Good chatting with you guys. Take care now.
That
Thank
is
you, Chip.
Chip Nemius, and he's a Memphian. He's
Yes,
part
sir.
of the old Rogues, and now what a company he's got. It is called Athlete and Event Sports Public Relations, based out of L.A., but he's working in Florida now, so he's obviously a very productive guy for sure.
And Dave, you know the story of that 53 defense came from number 53, Bob Matheson, going in as the extra linebacker, and that was innovative. That was as innovative as some of the 5 wideout stuff on offense now.
Yeah, or the safety too.
Yeah,
they all have good names, and they are all always innovative. That's the thing about sports. The strategies always evolve. Here's something that you always have to have. It's a tune-up from Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. They want you to be cool this summer with an efficient system. And the way to do that is to get it tuned up, and they come out and do a 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your system for $69, and they give you a free leak check. And when they go outside to get that outside unit all cleaned up, all the leaves and the dirt and the grime are out there, they'll put on a Teflon coating on the blades so you're protected for the hot summer, and you'll be cool inside, and your system will last a lot longer. Just call Conway, 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the home of the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up. When we come back, the TV voice of the Grizzlies on how things are going there and how he's doing during these pandemic times. Pete Pranica is next.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there providing for the community. Let's support local business with your business. The Gun Store, Holly Chevrolet, The Bear's Den, the Peabody Hotel, The Shot Nurse, Laser Aesthetics Body and Wellness. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. How old is your water heater? With most of the water heaters in the Mid-South located in the attic, the worst day you can replace your water heater is one day too late. It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. Plus, these energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. Most 10-year-old water heaters were about 65% efficient when they were new, compared to a tankless water heater from Conway Services is up to 98% efficient. Plus, right now, get your tankless water heater from Conway Services for as low as $79 per month, or I'll give you $300 for that old tank water heater. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. And with over 8,000 5-star reviews, you know Google guaranteed Conway Services will be providing that award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Monday, kicking off another week. We visit with Pete Pranica, the TV voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. We see him with Brevin and with Rob, and We miss them so much, and we can't wait to get them back this hour, brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road. Visit their website, DeSotoAutosales.com, and read about all the great referrals and all the very happy customers of DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience on Goodman Road. Down-home atmosphere, laid-back environment, no high-pressure sales. They care about your time, and they want you to have the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, you've test-driven your car, you've met with your sales rep, you've gotten the credit approved, you've completed the paperwork, and you're gone in your new car. You can do it during your lunch hour tomorrow. You can do it immediately after work. Right now at DeSoto Auto Sales. No shortcuts taken, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. All the cars test-driven, all checked out from bumper to bumper at DeSoto Auto Sales. Visit their website, DeSotoAutosales.com, but go see them at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. DeSoto Auto Sales, town and country experience. Come on down to DeSoto County.
We will let you know at the bottom of the hour. We will replay an interview that we did earlier on the banking industry and the PPP and mortgage forgiveness and all those things of this nature from this area with our friend Harold Bird, the president and co-founder of the Bank of Bartlett and Bartlett Mortgage. In the meantime, we will catch up with the television voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, Pete Pranica. This has been a tough stretch for all of us, but in particular, it is for Pete. I've done this privately, but I do want to extol. So everyone is aware that Pete lost his mother several weeks back, and so our condolences to you, and I hope you're doing okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been 2020 has been a rough year. In fact, I was last week up north in Wisconsin clearing out the house, and it's the only house I've ever known. You know, growing up, and my parents built it in the early '60s, and so we found. And my mother was not a hoarder, but she was a collector. So we actually found World War II ration stamps.
Wow!
That
Pete.
she
That's
had
beautiful.
saved. And I also have the original of my grandfather's diary from his days as a soldier in World War I. So there were some things that we found that, Mom, why did you keep it? And then some things that are museum pieces. And so it was my sister and I were up there,
Wow.
and it was quite an experience.
Did she have Packer stock?
No, I do. But,
I should have figured.
And Pete, I bet she had all your Notre Dame yearbooks and everything, didn't she?
Well, I had the yearbooks, but yeah, I discovered
good.
that she kept all the grade school photos, which are under lock and key, and nobody's going to get to see the bad haircuts from the '70s or the even worse clothes. So yeah, we're gonna but she did keep everything, and literally she kept the first 9 years of her life, every birthday card she got in a nice album. And it's, that's the hard thing. There's a dumpster out in front, and it's like, well, what are we going to do with this? And unfortunately, you find that you have to part with some things. That was pretty hard.
So do you think, Pete, and I know that you are not getting inside intel from Adam Silver, but do you think in your heart that we will have the finish with this NBA basketball season?
I know that the NBA is going to move heaven and earth to try to have an end of the season. There are, I think Adam is at a position where we don't know, and we're not sure that we know what all the variables are. The notion has been floated about having games in a bubble, whether that bubble's in Orlando or Las Vegas. But even those logistical considerations are just enormous. With the report that if you're going to take players out there, well, you don't want to separate them from their families. Well, that ups the number of tests and ups the amount of security that you're going to need exponentially. And so, I mean, there are a lot of logistical considerations at play here. I don't see there being. I don't even know how to project because I think. I'm in the same boat with Adam Silver. You don't even know what the variables are. You don't even know, where the potential landmines are to try to get the season restarted. Obviously, testing is going to be huge. Contact tracing is going to be huge. And the NBA is in a position where, as much as they want to get the season rolling again, they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're taking up tests that should be going to ordinary citizens who need it. So it's a very, very difficult situation. I know that Adam wants to play. I know that players probably want to play. Everybody wants to get back. I think everybody would love to see some live sports.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, the draft was great, but kind of the NFL draft was great, but kind of weird. The Last Dance documentary is fantastic, but again, we're replaying history. But you'd love to see something live where you had some interest, some rooting interest in what's going on. But I don't know. All I know is
we want our Grizzlies back.
I'm sorry.
We want our Grizzlies back.
Oh, of course. Well, and there's the NFL announcing today that there won't be any games overseas, and I have tickets to go see Notre Dame and Navy in late August, and the news broke today that the pubs in Ireland are closed until mid-August. So maybe that game won't come off. So it's rough in a lot of ways, and sports is no different than any other business that has been affected by this.
I have a hard time thinking that Notre Dame game would be played overseas now, especially.
But it hasn't been canceled yet.
No, but once the NFL canceled their stuff and Major League Baseball canceled their stuff overseas, I think it's a real hard get.
Except Arkansas is going to play.
Yeah, but they're not playing. They're not playing overseas. They're
playing
in Fayetteville.
But they got to get Nevada to come to Fayetteville.
Yeah.
They intend to play on Friday. Drew and I were talking about It's not a reservoir. It's the Pacific Ocean of goodwill earned by Adam Silver. Now, I don't think he has great competition in the commissioner of the Big Four world against Manfred, Goodell, and Bettman, but he has really separated himself in a short amount of time. And, Pete, that's why kind of in Adam Silver we trust.
Yeah, he is a very, very thoughtful person, and he is going to rely on the experts to tell him different things, and he does a good job of delegating to the people around him. The NBA has come up with some amazing things in developing All-Star Weekend and the way that they did it a little differently this past February. They obviously have run Summer League. They have played games overseas. So they have experience with some unusual situations, but I don't think there's anything that has come anywhere near what you're trying to do now because, you're trying to satisfy broadcast partners. You're trying to satisfy the players union, and you're also dealing with a public health crisis. So this is three-dimensional chess that he's having to play right now. And, trying to keep everybody happy and keep everybody safe. And everybody's safety, of course, is the first priority.
Another offshoot of all this could be that if they delay this and they do the biodome thing, or however it plays out, and the season goes all the way through the summer, do you foresee there would be a delayed start and maybe this would become the new season where you would start it in December?
Well, Steve Koonin, who's one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks, has been proposing for some time that the NBA season start on Christmas to avoid competition with college football. The NBA has said that they would be comfortable going until Labor Day for the end date of the NBA Finals. That doesn't give you a whole lot of room then to start a new season in late October. And one of the things that Adam Silver has been very adamant about is that whatever decisions are made for what is remaining of the 1920 season not adversely impact the start of next season. So how exactly you manage that remains to be seen. But, if COVID-19 affects the 1920 season, you don't want the effects to linger on, if at all possible, to hurt another season and potentially damage another season. Again, it's another one of those variables that you're trying to juggle. Okay, we want to get this season in. We want to have a champion. We want to have an NBA Finals. How are we going to do that? How long is it going to take? Where are we going to do it? And what impact does that have? Because you've got to have the draft. You've got to have the draft combine. You'd like to have a summer league or a fall league or whatever it turns out to be. So there are just so many variables right now, and I think we are fairly far away from being able to test everybody that needs to be tested, and to make sure that if you do bring all 30 teams to a bubble site, that you can ensure everybody's safety and ability to not be infected.
We're talking with Pete Pranica, television voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. One thing you wouldn't have to test anybody for, and that would be the NBA draft, and they've delayed that, and I think it's because of the workouts. I really do, and I understand that, but you've gotten so much videotape. I mean, every college game is on tape. Every foreign player has been on tape for years now. I think that the NFL taught us, look at the 15 million people that watched it, that you can do this draft on television and make it a huge ratings bonanza. Why do you think they're delaying the draft?
I think part of it might be you're just trying to figure out. First of all, you're trying to figure out what's going to happen to this season, and you're trying to figure out what the calendar is going to be. Does the NBA resume play in July? Does it resume play in August? Does it resume play at all? And I think that, and this is merely speculation on my part, I think that Adam Silver wants to understand what's going to happen to this season before you start going into another season, or before you start going into the draft situation. The lottery already has been postponed. I think they're just trying to get a handle on all the variables that are at play here. It's a massive problem and a massive puzzle that they're trying to fit together, and there's no playbook for this. There's absolutely no playbook for having a professional sports league just totally disrupted by a national and particularly international health crisis.
Yeah,
and Pete,
and you haven't
again,
finished the season. I understand.
Got to finish that season. And Pete, I've also said I don't want to be overly dramatic, but it is true. This is life and death situation. This is not just your run-of-the-mill commissioner decision on maybe reinstating a controversial player or handing out a discipline over on-court incident, or even like the first one that Adam Silver stepped right into the job and had to deal with Donald Sterling. This one is of the highest order.
Yeah, you are dealing, in player safety, and I know people, the players of the 90s, like player safety and flagrant fouls. Where was that in 1990? Player safety, the safety of everybody in the NBA family, whether it's broadcasters, athletic trainers, coaches, that obviously has to be the priority for Adam Silver. That has to be. If you cannot ensure the safety and health of everybody who is involved in the enterprise, then you're on hiatus, and you have to figure out a way to deal with it. And the other piece of it, too, is you're also dealing with the Players Union. Players Union is going to have to weigh in on this. And whatever planning there is, the Players Union is going to have to sign off on that. They are also convinced that their players will not be at risk if they go back and start playing again. So, like I said, a lot of variables, a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and I think with so many variables, if you're an algebra guy, there are no constants here. For the virus, that's it. But beyond that, there are more variables than there are constants, and that makes it a very difficult equation to manage.
We're talking to Pete Pranica, who is the voice on television of your Memphis Grizzlies. You guys just mentioned flagrant fouls, and like every basketball fan, I've been locked in 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, ESPN, to watch The Last Dance. I am not certain that there would have been a player left on the bench of the Detroit Pistons back in the early to mid-'80s with that Lambeer Isaiah Thomas team. They absolutely brutally fouled you every time you had the ball.
Yeah, and the rules allowed it. And you saw those games, and then the games of the Knicks and the Miami Heat, where the NBA said, "Look, this is not the game that we want to have. We want to have more of a free-flowing game." But the Pistons understood their advantage, which was physicality and toughness, and it was within the scope of the rules at that point in time. So you pushed it to the very end, and that was their edge, that was their advantage, and that was the mountain that Michael Jordan had to overcome, and a lot of it was the physicality of the Detroit Pistons. And yeah, when you got Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer, those guys are nasty, man. They're tough. And but yeah, I don't think Bill Laimbeer would much care for the flagrant foul rules the way they are now.
Pete, do you think they have the entire game practice tape of that legendary game now in Monte Carlo, getting prepared for Barcelona, that we saw snippets of last night? Do you think somewhere in the recesses of NBA properties they have that full game? Because if they do during this, they need to show that.
I would imagine that, it's possible unless Chuck Daly or somebody said destroy it. I mean, I don't know who was shooting it, but yeah, you'd like to think that they would, although they were just filming a scrimmage, so you didn't realize what it was going to turn out to be. I don't know if a full tape exists of it or not. If there is, it's entirely possible somebody may have said burn it. I don't know.
My favorite part is when Magic Johnson throws that basketball into the stands. He's so frustrated because they
hardly ever saw that emotion from him.
I know they couldn't stop Michael. And I think for people who really never, they knew of the legend, they know who he is. Everybody makes the argument he's the GOAT. They've seen the Nike commercials. Some of them may remember the Gatorade commercials, but this video just reinforces in my mind the guy was the greatest ever.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with that, particularly when you talk about winning championships. I was asked this question, is it LeBron or is it Jordan? Jordan's the greatest winner, I think, of the modern era. And LeBron might be a more complete basketball player when you look at his ability to distribute the basketball. Jordan didn't need to distribute the basketball. He could score, he could rebound, he could defend, but he wasn't called upon to be a distributor, and that's not a knock on him. That's simply an observation. Whereas James has done a little bit more in that realm than Michael Jordan. But I don't think when you look at unbridled will to win, you would have to put Jordan and Kobe Bryant, I think, probably in the same class. And just what Jordan was able to do to dominate as he did, and the Bulls were so good for so long. It's really hard to go against Jordan when you're talking about the greatest of all time. I say modern era in that I'm putting Will Chamberlain in an earlier era.
Sure.
I'm putting Bill Russell in an earlier era, but
Kareem.
Kareem as well. Michael was able to win titles under all types of circumstances, and deal with of course he was coached by Doug Collins, Stan Albeck, and then of course had his best years with Phil Jackson. But the way he was able to not only win championships, but I think repopularize the NBA and accept the torch from Magic and Bird, and just his ability to inspire people and make people say, wow. I think that is as great a gift to the game as anything he did on the floor.
I think Pete, how much time do you think the guys will need when they get, if and when we got the all clear signal from medical, safe, smart, the commissioner signs off on it? How much camp time will they need before a first round of games or first regular season game?
I think I had seen something where Adam Silver or somebody with the league had said you're talking probably on the order of 3 weeks. Some of these guys, unless they have a gym in their house, they have not had access to a basket. I think I'm pretty sure I saw a story. Giannis Antetokounmpo hasn't shot a basketball since the hiatus started. He doesn't have access to a hoop.
Your own guy, Jaren Jackson Jr., said the same thing. He goes, "I'm working out like a fiend, but I haven't shot a basketball. I haven't touched a basketball since the."
Yeah, I mean he's running on the treadmill lifting weights, but not being able to shoot a basket is kind of elemental to the sport. So it's it's not something that you're just going to be able to flip a switch and guys are going to be able to. And that's the other thing too, is when they come back, the play's probably not going to be at the level that we have come to expect it to be.
I agree with that. It'll be hard to return in a limited amount of time, and this period that they haven't been playing is probably the longest period of play in their entire lives that they have not played the game of basketball.
Yeah. I mean, they can do conditioning work, but that's pretty much it. Because, like I said, they don't have access to a basket. you're not shooting. And like I said, it's just rather fundamental to the sport.
Talking with Pete Pranica, the longtime television voice of the Grizzlies. Back to the Last Dance for a second here. How good is this? Not just for Michael Jordan, but for the game of NBA basketball, because all these folks who are missing the game are getting a history lesson watching this product, watching stars of the past.
Well, I think it's huge because you've got people saying, well, Steph Curry's the greatest player of all time. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Can we pump the brakes on this a little bit? No, I think it is good to give some historical context to where the NBA was in the 90s and what Michael Jordan meant to it. Because in today's society, it's always what's in front of you that seems to grab the headlines. And so, LeBron will grab headlines and Steph Curry will grab headlines. But the fact of the matter is you cannot tell the story of the NBA without really documenting everything that Michael Jordan meant to the league. And his influence on the game is incalculable. And, yeah, it's good to remind everybody of the history of the NBA and what he was able to do. I mean, to have 2 3-peats is pretty remarkable.
Yep, it really is. Pete, we thank you. Hope you're back home, safe, everything's in order. I'll let you know tonight, Packers and Seahawks from 2012 Monday Night Football.
We know how it ends,
too. Will be revisited.
Do we have to?
Good chatting with you. I hope I get to watch you do live work again this year.
Me too.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it.
That is Pete Pranica. He's brought to you in part by the Spirit Shop. The Spirit Shop still going strong. You know where the Spirit Shop is, right there at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact. And if you call Eddie Connor or his daughters or anybody there, they will take care of you. And that's the way they're doing right now, and they are doing blockbuster business. They truly are. You call in advance, give them your credit card, so there's less to pass back and forth. Oh, you can present your credit card at the place of business, but make your order, and then when you get there, they'll either see you or you just call them and say, I'm out here, and they'll come and they'll put your favorite wine, your favorite beer, your superb bourbon, or maybe your bargain tequila. All of that can come out. You order it, they will bring it to you. They've really done a heck of a job. I got to give a tip of the cap to them. I've used them a couple of times since we've been in this thing, and they're just so prompt, so courteous, so very, very clean. They are very aware of sanitation, and that is very important to me and to my wife. That's the Spirit Shop, still going strong, right down from Clark Tower, that little log cabin at Poplar and St. Nick.
Hey, Dave, I got one quick note. A bettor at William Hill online. Now imagine A, betting this and B, winning it. $33 10-leg parlay on soccer and table tennis this weekend. That $33
How much?
won him $2,660.90.
Man, that's the craziest parlay I've ever heard. It was
Soccer and table tennis.
That's ping pong. Table tennis.
That's what they call it.
Oh, my goodness.
Woo, that's somebody wanting to bet bad.
That guy has got to find something else to do in life.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. When we come back, we'll revisit a conversation we had earlier today with our friend Harold Bird from the Bank of Bartlett on PPPs and a whole lot more. That comes your way next.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
Right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Don't miss it.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. And Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Now it's Geico's turn to share too with a Geico Give Back. A 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me Saturdays 8 to 9 a.m. for Sidelines here on Sports 56 WHBQ, 87.7 FM, and 96.1. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, and your favorite team. Give us a call. That's Sidelines, Saturday mornings 8 to 9 a.m. Sidelines is presented by Duncan Williams Asset Management. So get up and give us a call.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our final hour here on this gorgeous Monday. The day the city is reopening to a certain extent. We even heard the news. The hair care business now back in business. You can go get a haircut if you want. You can't do your nails, not yet. But now hair care is part of phase 1. It's also the day that Don Shula, the winningest football coach in the history of the NFL with 347 wins, 2 Super Bowl titles, and the only undefeated season back in 1972, 17-0. He passed away at the fine old ripe age of 90. This portion of the program brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Here is a company that is always ahead of their time. They were the first I know of to have 0% financing for 84 months on a brand new car. 0%. Yeah, it means you pay no interest for all 7 years of the note. And you do not have to make a payment for the first 3 months. 120 days to make your first payment on select models. And these cars are so good. There's been so much written about the new technology of both the Hyundais and, of course, the luxury car. That's a Hyundai on steroids, I like to say. It's the Genesis cars, my G70, the fastest and best performing car I have ever absolutely owned. It's so much safety technology in there, and I talk about how sturdy they are. All the Genesis cars, all of the Hyundai technology, it's all guaranteed. You get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Please go check it out. This is the standard for which the car business should be measured, and I want you to go find out for yourself. Get on Lamar, get into Mississippi. When you get to the very first exit, Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang and go test drive one of these cars and see what I'm talking about. You'll love it at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. You know, in this time slot, we like to replay the conversation we had at 3:30 that is involving the coronavirus pandemic. And today we talked a little bit about banking with the president and co-founder of the Bartlett Bank. That would be Harold Bird.
PPP program, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, is really a great program for businesses. It starts with businesses with 500 people and less employees. It can go down to self-employed business people, real estate agents. It's a lifeline because the economy, as we know it, stopped. We paused, and it's never happened generally in our lifetime. So this program gives all these folks a chance to, for 60 days, to keep on keeping on until hopefully the economy resumes to, somewhat normal. It's not going to be normal, but until somewhat normal.
Harold, when you talk to your business people and your checking account people and your customers, do you think it will be enough? Will we need another tranche of money from the federal government come the 1st of July?
Stats, great to talk with you as well. By the way, you guys do a great job, and and I appreciate y'all taking time on a sports program to talk about something that's vital to everybody in our community. And I think we'll need an additional tranche of money. We started out with $349 billion, and we went through that, so quickly, like Kenny Gainwell going through for a touchdown, or Anthony Miller. This second tranche was $310 billion, and we still have $135 billion that's available for business people, for self-employed to apply for. And I'm encouraging people to do that today if they're listening to your radio show, which y'all have a huge number of followers. If you have not applied for the PPP program, go to where you bank. We have serviced our own customers, and we'd be glad to take people here. They can call me at 484-1210 or bankofbartlett.com, and I'll be glad to help them out. But to answer your question, Stats, I think there will need to be more, because when people do resume, living a normal life, and the other night I went to Napa Cafe. They do such a great job. You go to any of the restaurants in town, the Rendezvous or wherever, they have been put on hold, and they're serving from the curbside. And when you go back in, there's going to be space, and so even then they're only going to be able to resume maybe 50% of what they used to do inside.
So 2 questions that arise from this. One, how many businesses have you applied for of the PPP to the government on behalf of those businesses in Memphis? Just a rough guess. And you say there's $130 billion left that you think it's going to go. Well, what makes you think, with the county reopening and everybody slowly starting to come back, that we're going to need another wave of that?
Yeah, because, again, our economy, 60 days so ago, 45 days so ago, just came to a halt. And some operations kept on going. But what you've seen business people, you've seen individuals drain their reserves. And so this money that has going through the Paycheck Protection Program will tide people over for this 60 days or so until you get back to somewhat normal. But, we've done very well in home sales, home construction, home mortgage loans. That seems to have kept on going. But let's just say if you get into the event business where people were doing, like a wedding or a birthday party, these type of businesses, everything they had going on for this time for 30 to 45 days has been canceled, and sometimes 3 months out. So in 1 week's time, their income went from full income down to zero.
Can you, if you're a business that's going through those 8 weeks that is part of the formula, can you reapply? Is that why you're saying we may need more? Can a business go back for a second round of that?
And Dave, I'm thinking that will definitely be the case, because in the first round we had construction companies, we had, let's say, like veterinary clinics, where people, all at once their business just stopped. And sometimes we think about doctors who are educated, affluent people, but all at once the only procedures that were allowed were those which were life saving. So those others were elective procedures were put off. So as we go through this first and second tranche of money that Stats referred to, the 349 was in the first, and it went within days. And then the second group here is going slower, because I do think that so many people right now, we get our news differently, and I think there is a lot of they just don't know. So that's the reason that, I appeal to your listeners. You guys have got such a loyal group of folks, knowledgeable sports people. I would say tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your neighbors if they haven't applied, if they own a lawn cutting service, or if they own a painting service, if they're carpenters, if they file their taxes on a 1099 or a Schedule C. That's what we need for when they fill our application out, which is a small business administration application. They can go to their bank, and their application will be there. And then what the bank is going to ask them is for their 2019 taxes, and then for proof that they were in business in December of 2019 and in February of 2020.
Harold, how many $1,200 U.S. Treasury checks have y'all cleared?
I think substantial. A lot of this stats has been, if I said it was chaotic and not smooth, that would be an understatement, because when we started out, the computers would crash and go down. It's been slow, but there's never, in fairness to the U.S. government, there's never been a program like this that affected the entire 50 states and the Commonwealth areas that we govern. And this is a worldwide pandemic. Did we take it too lightly? Well, by George, I'd say we definitely did. And this is something that scares the fool out of people. One of my friends posted on Facebook, he went into one of the large department stores, and this is a guy, who thinks he can wrestle bears. And his wife, he had on yellow dishwashing gloves and a mask that would have made Lone Ranger jealous. And so it's funny to, even the most manly people know that this virus will take you down.
We're talking with Harold Bird, president and co-founder of the Bank of Bartlett and Bartlett Mortgage. You never did, and I don't think I gave you the chance. How many PPPs have you guys done? How much has that taken of the work, your staff's work hours to get all this thing done? And I know you want more, but it has to be time consuming.
Dave, because that we most banks right now are accepting business by appointment only. If you want to see us, you have to make, because of the coronavirus, safeguards are put in. We have our drive-throughs open, and you can come into the bank and make application. But a lot of business, we know it has just stopped. So what we felt like we were compelled to do to serve our community, to serve our fellow man, we're not only accepting applications from our clients, we're doing it from other people. We've processed some 1,500 applications. Some of them, very few of them, were turned back. And so, I've never been more prouder of our bank team than in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We are working early hours. We're working through lunch. We're working to 2:30 and 3 in the morning, inputting those loans into the SBA, because on that first tranche stats, it was like you didn't know if you were going to get it in. When that computer opened up, we'd have people that'd be sleeping. They'd get up and the computer would be open. They'd call everybody else and put those loans in. Within, maybe 35, 40 minutes later, the computer would go down. That was during the first tranche. In the second, it was a little bit smoother. So to answer your question, about 1,500 applications. And gosh, when you see people, they write you notes and say you don't know what a lifeline this is, it really makes you feel good. And the words of Churchill during the World War II, when Britain was going through its rough times, he said, "This is Britain's finest hour." Well, for our group here, I thought it was our finest hour, and the reason was we all came together, but we came together for a great purpose, and that's to help out all the communities in the Memphis metro area.
Heck yeah, Harold, and you're right. That first round, it was almost like the Great American Land Rush times Cannonball Express. It was a race to get there, like it was going to run out quickly, and it did. You mentioned Kenneth Gainwell and Anthony Morgan. I think that next round was more Antonio Gibson. Maybe this last one, I'm going to give you a blast from the past. I know Harold Bird will remember this guy. I think the speed of this next one will be Gerald Tinker.
Let me tell you, I remember Gerald Tinker. He was the fastest man in the
guy
world.
I've ever seen.
And he's about like me and Dave Lotion stats. I saw a video with
nothing alike.
Being interviewing Larry Finch, the late great Larry Finch, the other day about from 25 years or so ago, and I thought that Dave, man, looks just like you did then. Slim, trim, and machine.
That is an absolute
Harold,
lie.
Let me ask you about compare.
Yes,
this is kind of the sad side, and I know you won't give names and you can't divulge any banking business. I mean, it was the original "You Don't Talk Banking" business that was out there before HIPAA was out there. But a 1-year comparison to like overdrafts and late payments, is it hitting yet?
You know, just barely, Stats, which has sort of surprised us right now, and we know it's going to come. But the people who were so at risk were that they were doing daily type of, let's say like your stylist, your hairstylist, people who were non-essential businesses, and people who were in the event business where you're used to going to parties and things like that, and advertising. A lot of people are not advertising right now, so the advertising agencies are really hurting. So we do have some where we have deferred payments, and we've had a few people ask for that, but the amazing thing thus far, it hasn't hit us hard.
I am very pleasantly surprised to hear that, because that is where I was going. I've seen forgiveness of rent. I've seen forgiveness, and there was a national, I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or the Today Show, where I saw the experts sort of giving advice about calling your bank to ask for that sort of deferred payment, and maybe some people are starting to get back because of the PPP, or maybe because we're opening up, this won't be as critical a time. But as a bank, and I'm asking you to speak for all banks now, Harold Bird, not just Bank of Bartlett, is this a hard business decision to make, where you're going to go, look, we'll give you 2 or 3 months of sort of a deferred time period?
It's hard, but not hard. We generally and always do, we're dealing with people of good faith. Our clients, they're the most important people to us in the world, in this community. Like you guys, I love the Memphis metro area, and in my lifetime, I've never been more optimistic about our city right now with so many things going on. And I hope after we get through this, it will pop right back. And so, yes, what we have done when people have asked for a deferral, we have done it on the back end of the loan. We'll work with everybody, and hopefully, as you say, right now it hasn't been that tough, and so the PPP program has helped out a ton. And let's talk about golf courses. Both of you guys love to play golf, and that's shut down the country clubs, the golf places where you go and hit driving range balls and things like that. So, yeah, I think what we're looking at right now is if we can resume normal activity, that it won't be the same, but we will be hopefully hitting at 75% by the start of football season, when Memphis Tigers are ready to kick some butt.
Let's hope we kick off. That is for sure. And then kick some butt. Harold Bird, president and co-founder of Bartlett Bank and Bartlett Mortgage, thank you so much. We appreciate your time today, and please stay healthy.
It was an honor to be with you and Stats. You guys keep on keeping on and be safe.
And that is our friend Harold Bird.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char-broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We baste our ribs on a plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So, Robert, are ribs what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis, in the alley since 1948.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
Chad Gatlin is your Mid-South Farmers agent, and he's easy to find. Just go to memphisfarmers.com to get a fast quote or call his office at 901-237-1176. And during this wild time we're all facing, know Chad has you covered. Whether you need to file a claim, get a quote, or just talk about what he can do to give you the absolute best coverage at the best price. Chad is a Memphis man and knows the area and that everyone is different, and he will work to make sure you have everything you need and nothing you don't. Get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com or call 901-235-1176.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Hopefully the rain holds off. They say later tonight we will get a little bit. Hope you enjoyed your first day out, maybe, since the city has reopened, and hope it is all going well for you. This portion of the show is brought to you by the commissary. You could still get out and go to the commissary today, that's for sure. At the commissary, it is pickup, curbside, because again, have you heard from Walker Taylor? Brett, do we know anything about inside stuff yet? At the commissary?
Very careful, very safe, and we're going to have more commissary coupons for 6-packs of barbecue starting tomorrow. We got a couple we got to mail out, but we're going to start back having a lot more of those, and they're ready to get geared up, of course. Safe, smart, and soon.
I did see that he said he was going to try to open up as soon as possible. They're already ahead of the game. I know they have the paper napkins and cutlery, and so they are set. But you could go for sure tonight. If you couldn't go in, you can do the drive-through in Collierville, or you can do the call ahead, and you can do the curbside in Germantown. Get all the ribs, the shoulder, whatever you want. He's been going strong throughout this whole thing, and I'm really happy for him that we're about to get some people back into the restaurants for Walker Taylor again. The Germantown commissary with curbside, the Collierville commissary. You can do the drive-through. You could do it tonight. It's time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave want to carve some time on Wednesday, and I want to have a deal for NFL quarterbacks, bust or not bust, and no dirty minds there. We're going to keep it on football because with the Mitch Trubisky news, and we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow with George Hoffman, I don't think Mitch Trubisky has been a bust. I just don't think he's been very good, and with that I also learned today we're going to have a battle for backup, maybe even third string in Kansas City to back up Chad Henne and Patrick Mahomes between Shea Patterson and Jordan Ta'amu. They won't keep 3 quarterbacks. Either Shea or Jordan Ta'amu will go unless it's some horrible circumstance. They'll probably never start a meaningful game for Kansas City, but you need 2 for sure. Chad Henne's probably the second guy, but we'll see which one wins 3. I don't think Trubisky has been a bust. He just hadn't been very good.
No, he's not a bust yet, but when you don't get your option picked up, you're on the verge of being a bust. Because don't forget, the Bears did move up to get him, and the two quarterbacks they could have gotten instead of him.
That's what hurts.
That
highlights it.
And there is a
Dan McGuire was a bust. Todd Marinovich was a bust. Jamarcus Russell, they were bust.
Ryan Leaf was a bust.
By
the way, since you're talking about backups, how about, it's a good story, Andy Dalton, the newest Cowboy, and he'll be a little bit of leverage for the Cowboys to get Dak Prescott into the fold. The big story today is obviously the passing of Don Shula at the age of 90. But I learned today a televised fundraiser for coronavirus relief involving Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson against Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff will give golf
Look
fans
where they're playing.
their first live golf to watch since the sport was shut down in March. They're going to be playing at Seminole Golf Club in Juno Beach, Florida, May 17th. It's McIlroy and Johnson, Fowler and Wolff. It airs on NBC TV. You know the other interesting thing about this? They beat Tiger Woods and Phil to the punch with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
Have you ever been to Seminole?
I have not, but I've seen it on TV a bunch. It looks
unbelievable.
Spectacular.
Maybe the best clubhouse grill in the country. It's unreal. I think golf fans will just enjoy that. Could have done without today. I'm a little tired of the virtual stuff. I talked about it last week. And shocker of all shockers, guess who won the virtual Kentucky Derby? Secretariat. If anybody else had won, it would have been a joke. It's just fantasy horse racing to me. I've had enough of it, the virtual concerts. I know why we're doing it all, but it's just make-believe to me. A virtual Secretariat, he probably would beat a lot of horses today. And 1 year that Maximum Security has had to live the life he's had to live, Drew. I could do without that.
Are you kidding me?
I could too.
He is in for a great future. Let me tell you. Eating all he wants.
Yeah, be careful, Dave. G-rated show.
And all that goes with that.
G-rated show, Dave. Be careful.
This is cool. I don't know if I could have done without, but I think it's really interesting. There was a comparison, and Joe Theismann, by the way, was on Saturday. I missed him by a day. He was playing at Miramichi, so he's in town. Joe Theismann's injury and Alex Smith's injury were compared. Listen, this is amazing. So, Joe broke his right tibia and fibula.
Yeah.
Same thing Alex Smith did. The exact same injury. Joe did it November 18th, 1985. Alex Smith, November 18th, 2018. Same November 18th. Obviously, they both played for the Washington Redskins. It happened in the city of Washington, D.C. It happened at the 39-yard line. The final scores in the game for both 23-21. The injury was caused for Joe, a three-time Defensive Player of the Year in Lawrence Taylor. For Alex Smith, it was caused by three-time Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt. On that particular play, listen to this. Last cool thing. On that particular play, the left tackle for the Washington Redskins with Joe Theismann was Pro Bowler Joe Jacoby. He was off the field due to an injury. And then go to 2018, Alex Smith's left tackle, Pro Bowler Trent Williams, off the field for that play when the injury occurred.
Holy, what? That's unbelievable.
That not incredible?
Dave, that's the nugget of all time. That's more than a nugget. Man.
I got to thank my producer for the Tiger games, Danny O'Brien, for sending me that today. That's
Danny,
mind-blowing.
Wow, that is. And both of them very much in fear of losing that leg, of maybe possibly of an amputation. And Alex Smith wants to come back. Please don't play again. If he got hurt again, and it ended Joe Theismann's career. And Joe was at the end of a great career. Keeping a close eye on a lot tonight. You mentioned DJ and Rory versus Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff on May 17th. I think most golf nuts will just love getting that sneak peek of Seminole Golf Club on full display. 2 sports events on May 17th. You got that and got the NASCAR. We're growing. It's coming at us in waves now. Dak and the Cowboys, I think, will be getting really close this week. hopefully some reopening plans this week. And who's going out tonight in Memphis? Everybody be careful if you do. And NFL schedule leaks, I think, will be prominent this week. And the Chiefs on opening night, their opponent at Arrowhead probably will get known even before the full unveil.
I've got this little nugget that I really could have done without. Do you know how much ESPN is predicting right now, how much the sports industry has lost with jobs?
Oh, yeah.
$12 billion.
Could go as high as 50.
Yes, well, that's right. They say at least double if there's no college football, and even
Dave,
more if the NFL schedules are wiped out.
We got to give credit to Jeremy Pruitt. He is mopping up in recruiting.
He is.
And this is a dead period.
I know.
Wait till he can really get out and recruit.
No,
I said last year after that start, people be patient. Jeremy Pruitt will build a program at UT.
You did say that, and so far, the way he's recruiting, he sure should. We want to thank Harold Bird, David Cobb, Jeff Crane, and Pete Prenica for being with us today. You mentioned it already. Among our guests, George Offman from Chicago on The Last Dance, Mitch Trubisky, and a whole bunch more, and Ted Evanoff, business writer for the Commercial Appeal. Have a great night, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow.
The landscape is so beautiful.